somebody that's never been fat or overweight understands that peril. It's like, I've been in chairs before and like, shit's broken.
The worst are the funeral chairs. Like, you had to go sit like with the family up there, and they had these like things. It's like, it's almost like shit. Think like you took like a paper clip and bent it out, and then like put some plastic on it, and they expect that to hold your big ass up. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's like they found a flimsy beach chair.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all right, how can we make this less sturdy but aesthetically more pleasing with the decor in the funeral parlor?
Take the metal in there and then make it paper thin, and then put rivets in it, and that's the chair.
Oh my lord! You look great, by the way, as far as
I'm still not gonna fuck you.
The quarantine diet. Don't worry, nobody does. It's fine.
I won't even fuck me anymore.
Like what do I have to offer anyways? Like it has to be like a which, I mean, it's almost always been with me and the partner I attract anyways. It's been like a certain niche where like she's usually introverted and likes intelligent and loudmouth cocky dudes. Yeah. And however, you know, I'm like in my mind, like I'm always like I guess the insecure part of me is always the teenager part, you know. So like I'm always the fat kid, like in my mind, and that's
you never grow out of that. Like even you have people that lose 400 pounds, they never feel because they change internally. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these people go and get lap band surgery, and they don't really. I mean, they work for it. It's not like they don't work for it, but it's not like you actually got out there and you developed the self-control and like rebuilt your identity in the process of doing it. Yeah. You just did a shortcut. You know, I can only eat like an apple a day. If I do, I vomit. Like you don't really develop a new character. Yeah,
it's you're talking about stomach stapling, right? Is that what
they
it is?
do? A bunch of
but I mean, it's limiting the size of like
it's
your stomach.
What they call it used to be the stapling because they'd cut the stomach away now, and then they would like staple the motherfucker back together and replumb it and shit. Mm-hmm. And now they'll do what they call because they would take I think it's called the ileus, whatever the bottom of your stomach is. They basically cut that and cut like a good sized piece of your stomach out and then plumb it at the top. So now what they do is they don't do lap bands anymore because they're having problems with them slipping, and then they get infected and people die or whatever. Now they just go in and cut a slit out of your stomach and then like sew it together, and they make like your stomach like a tube almost.
Like I wonder, like, because I mean it's a fairly new process, that cosmetic. It's mostly cosmetic. I'm sure in some instances it's necessary, but for the most part it's an elective procedure, right? So how many times or like how many years like they had to spend doing this surgery before they were like, this is probably a bad way to do this. We should find like one person to volunteer to see if we can do some crazy shit.
The stapling part of it, if I remember correctly, like they had a higher mortality rate than the sleeve and the lap band. But the lap band had more post-op complications because you have a device in your stomach that's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So, I don't know.
It's weird, like. Because now like transhumanism is it's a buzz topic, right? Yeah. And it's a fear topic as far as conspiracy enthusiasts go. But if you really think about like transhumanism started in the 20th century with like we started having like bionic implants for like bones, the skeletal system.
Yeah.
Start replacing it with metals.
We're like the baby steps of doing that.
Yeah.
Because we can like rebuild knees now.
Yeah, my dad's got a new knee. Yeah. Like, that's fucking wild. Like, a new knee.
And it's fucking crazy because what they do is they go in and they basically take that little top knot at the bottom part of your thigh bone. Mm-hmm. Just cut the motherfucker off. You don't need that. Slam some metal in there, bolt it together, and then you got a brand new knee.
Oh, that's spanking new. Let me, I'm going to grab a candle real quick.
What you need a candle for?
It sets an ambiance. I like have some sort of nice ambiance. I've also learned to...
is it pumpkin spice?
It's salted caramel, a soy blend scented candle.
Salted caramel is the bastard cousin of pumpkin spice.
It is, and I prefer the bastard cousin myself. Set it back here so that way it's not right in the microphone.
No, man, let's have like a roaring fire like down by the river.
It wouldn't even,
you spin in a circle naked with a gas can. Let's bring it back.
Man, I don't even... God, how long ago was the gas can? I guess I was like 18 or 19.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, I'm getting to the age where, like, I remember certain things, and I think they're either further back or further forward than they are. Like,
mine are normally there's more time that's passed than.
See, I was trying to think. Realize. Like, I was on the way. I was like, when did me and you meet? I was like, let's think about 2000. And I'm like, well, no, 2000 was like. That's like sophomore, junior year. So
yeah, it was 1999, 98.
1999.
No, 98 because we graduated 12th grade in 2002.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means it was 01 and 02. So our freshman year would have been 98, 99. Yep. So we met 98 because it was at football.
And it's like I don't. And then you really think back. It's like, damn, 98 was like. It's like, god damn, that's 22 years ago. Like. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't really realize how, like, somebody that, let's say someone was born the day we met, like, they can vote and they're about to finish fucking college. Like, it's...
yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, my pal Jeremy, he started working in the office with me a few years ago. And he was, like, 17 or 18 when he started. And, like, you know, we worked, like, every day, so we became pals and whatnot. And like I would be hanging out with him sometimes, and it would dawn on me, like holy shit, man, this guy can't even buy alcohol. I think he can now. I think he's 21 now. But I mean, yeah, like you don't think about it. I saw a younger sibling of somebody I went to high school with that I hadn't met since they were like in first grade.
Who?
I'm not going to say on the podcast, but I saw them. They were like, oh, I'm so and so's sister.
What?
I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, they were like 23, had like a couple of kids already. I'm like, holy shit, man.
What's like you talk about that meeting, like the younger brother of our sister, or somebody that we like were friends in high school. Mm-hmm. Remember Jermaine used to be the water boy.
Yeah.
Called him Titty Mane?
Yeah.
He's a she now.
Yeah, I saw that.
And very convincing, very good looking.
I think she spoke at Wilson's funeral.
Yeah.
If he prefers she.
Pronouns called.
I'm just saying, like, whatever Jermaine or whatever her name is now, whatever they prefer. You know what I mean? Like, my only argument with that is just like, it's kind of like the Jordan Peterson approach. Is like, stay the fuck out of legislation with like telling people what they can and can't say. Other than that, I mean,
like,
whatever.
I'll play your game,
I mean, yeah, it's just a fucking word. I mean, whatever.
Words of violence.
Anyway. Words are like bullets.
But no, like, it's just that whole... I don't know, I keep having this memory come back of like, because it's 2020, I'm thinking like, 20 years ago, like... I spent going into the year to Y2K. It was me, Mello, and somebody else, and we were going to watch wrestling as the bell drop. That's such like a 2000 thing to do. But then like you start thinking, that's 20 fucking years ago. Like I'll be 36 in 7 days.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's wild. These past couple months, like since like my grandma died, and she died Memorial Day, was it the 30th?
Yeah,
I think. Like something just happened. Like since that time, where like my, I was always kind of like an oddball, and definitely already.
No, not you.
Had already, as an adult, had like sort of rebelled against adulthood again. You know what I mean?
You had your second adolescence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of, and then childhood,
rather.
Yeah, and then I guess psychologists would argue it was arrested development, but I mean...
I think that's a thing that literally everybody in our generation has.
I mean, yeah, man, like, I'll run into some people that, and no disrespect to
some worse than others, but...
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but, like, I'm a monogamist, so, like, I'll see a lot of peers my age that, like, their goals of their 20s, their adventures that they were supposed to have, they didn't, because they chose to settle down, like, earlier than I did. And that, I mean, that's fine. But as far as like where they're at now, like especially like I'll see on like fucking like Bumble or like dating app that like married people that are like wanting to like
open the bedroom up.
Yeah, and I mean like, and I've got friends that are like into that, and that's fine. Like if that's how they want to live their life, that's fine. It doesn't make them a good person or a bad person. I'm just saying, but like for me, like. Shit, man! Like I'm a little old school, I guess, with some things like that.
I have never ever thought a threesome would be a great thing.
I've had one, and it's I mean, like it was fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was only fun. Like the idea of it was because why it was fun, and that conquest was why it was fun.
You marked it off your fucking life adventure checklist.
Like, yeah, something like well, I can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same way as far like the same time
it's probably like going to the Grand Canyon going, yep, that's a hole in the ground.
Well, I mean,
let's go to Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, yeah. You remember it was like 2012. It was when like it was 2013. Excuse me. I got Nacho, and then I went on like a 10-day like sabbatical, like by myself. Just drove. I drove like 2,500 miles in 10 days, and like I went hiking.
Was Nacho with you?
No. I got him, and then
he's probably like, "What the fuck is going on? These guys stole me from my kennel. I'm going across country. He's smoking weed and playing music. What have I signed up for?"
He's driving 25 miles an hour.
Through mountain hills. Am I going to be sacrificed?
No, my roommate was watching him.
That was at the college house, right?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, there was one day that I was in Maryland somewhere. I don't know. The first
you rode, didn't you?
Yeah. This was day 2 or 3. On day 1 when I left, something happened with like I think I got to South Carolina and got gas, and something happened with my credit card and they like shut it down. I was like, fuck, man, like I've got like $100 to my name, like cash. So I went ahead and got like food and was like, okay, well,
for the trip.
Well, yeah, I was like, okay, like that'll save me like this. I think I had like $60 left over for gas, and small car. So I was like, all right, well, I know I can at least get home, But then I got resolved on the
probably because you were traveling quotation fingers.
Yeah. But so anyway, on the third day, I was like, well, let me get off the interstate. I'm gonna get back on the fucking back roads. Yeah, because I like driving the back roads. And I'm somewhere in Maryland, and smoking a joint, and like it's just like a very calm, gray day. It's kind of like what you imagine a stereotypical Pacific Coast kind of summer rainy day.
Cool fall day, a little overcast.
Yeah. And they had this trail. Hi, bonkers. They had this trail that split, and it said one was like the normal trail, and the other one was like mountain pass and waterfall. I'm like,
hell yeah,
waterfall, hell yeah! But I climbed up like this mountain, and like this was some like steep, like jagged mountains.
Which say not for a sedimentary smoker is what you're saying.
No, definitely not. But I got up there and like the waterfall was like fucking awesome. That was more gratifying to me than having the threesome.
Yeah,
was just
ascending a mountain to a beautiful one of God's creations versus two chicks just laying there. You're like,
well, they weren't just laying there.
Oh, you know what I
mean? Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it simple. I'm not trying to paint a picture for everybody.
In no way, shape or circumstances do any of my listeners, nor anyone in general, want to hear details about anything my sexual exploits. But yeah, back to like the whole time thing. Like shit, man. Like I think the first person to go from our class was Beck, if I'm not mistaken, which was.
I don't think he was the first. I think he's the first one. We were somewhat, not that we were close to him, but like I would consider Jimmy a friend. You know what I mean?
He's a
good dude.
He was the last guy in school I ever got in a fist fight with.
Yeah, I don't know what was that. I remember we were sitting there changing out after practice, and then y'all started going in, and everybody's like taking their cleats off. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh no, he wouldn't let go. I don't start anything, you know what I mean? But like, I'm not going to be like. I
think he was like trying to like play and wrestle and stuff, and you weren't having that shit.
I ain't into that Greco-Roman bullshit, sir.
I will forever remember him trying to slap box with Eddie Noble, and Eddie just slapped the fuck out of him, like knocked him dizzy. He fell back, cut the shit out of his back.
Well, something happened to him with that, man, because he wanted to fight me, and like I wasn't having it, and like he's got we got our pads on. Like what the fuck? All I've got is his midsection and his junk and whatnot. So that's why I started attacking. So I'm punching his balls and his stomach and whatnot. And then somebody tries to pull me off, and I stomp on him. I told him to get the fuck away from me. He never messed with me again though. But I remember that I had been talking to my dad like that whole season or preseason, whenever it was that year.
Been, talking a bunch of shit too, I think.
Yeah, like that. He had been egging it on.
Shoe, let it go. Thank you. Put your bag.
We'll make sure that try not to mention anybody's first and last name so I can trim it out. Legal stuff, but
he's dead.
I mean the guy who slapped him.
His statute of limitations is up on that. The poor fella's dead, and that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, true. I remember that other kid. He got choke slammed because there's cleanup going on, and same dude. He was in a bad mood and just screaming at people. And I was like, I don't know anybody. I ain't fucking around. Summer camp to me was what I imagine what jail would be like whenever you get
especially Pittman football camps, awful.
Yeah, man.
I remember
a bunch of angry dudes all shut in a room together for a week.
I just remember my first summer football camp for summer. These sorry fuckers are going and staying in their houses in town, leaving one coat the youngest coach down to make sure we're not sneaking out drinking beer and shit.
Yeah.
And they stick us in classrooms with no air conditioner because where they turn the AC on is done up in fucking Atlanta. So we're in there sweating our asses off at night, not sleeping. And you got people hot, the only air conditioner that half-ass works, they're putting sheets over so it blows on their fucking bed. It's fucking awful. Which is what those things should be. Football camp should be awful. It's a character builder.
Yeah.
Awful character builder. I will always fucking remember you getting the fucking monkey ass. And then somebody telling your stupid young ass to put Bengay on it.
Oh yeah, and I totally did.
And you totally
set
did.
my booty hole on fire.
I'm in a room over, and then I hear somebody scream like they just caught an axe in the face. We all run in there, and everybody in the other room is dying laughing, and they all touch go to the locker room. Walk around the corner. You're standing there, bent over, ass cheeks spread open to God and everybody, letting water run down the crack of your ass.
Well, in all fairness, my butt was facing the shower.
Well, yeah,
so
but I mean,
everybody just saw my horrid face, writhing in pain. Dude, that shit fucking burns so bad. Thank God we didn't have camera phones then. My lord. So, shit, man. That was we arguably had the last analog childhood, but
I was reading
a lot of our adolescence was analog. Still too.
I was reading. It was an infographic that showed you have Gen X, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's this stopgap generation in between Gen X and when the millennial generation starts. And the way mine and your age sits is we're right in the middle. It's a very short generation that it's you have a analog childhood, but a digital as adolescence, teenage, and so on and so forth. Because we started, you had to go to the fucking video store to get a fucking tape to watch it.
Yeah, or
you had to
or the library to read and get information.
Yeah, or like when we bought the tape, if it was off, you had to adjust the little knob to make sure it worked right.
Yeah, the tracking.
Yeah. And then like we went from that to DVDs and the internet, like lickety split.
Yeah.
For technology terms.
And now no medium. There's no medium for it.
No.
Like everything's streaming.
No, you don't own the shows you watch, the movies you watch.
Yeah.
It's bullshit in the bonkers. You don't own the games you play anymore, the music.
No.
And we're all fine with it. It's like, I pay my $9 a month. I'll be able to access. I mean, I've been on Spotify member for 10 years now, so like, and it doesn't bother me.
I have too. I see Napster is trying to make a comeback in that market. Bonkers. Hey, bro. If you can't behave, I'm gonna have to put you in the other room, man.
I'm gonna put you down. Yeah, but it's like I don't know why they would want to do that, because like that market is already locked down by Spotify or Google Music or Apple Music or Amazon Music.
I think what they're doing is because while we're moving towards, and I agree with Tim Dillon a fair amount on his views, because he's also I guess you call a neo-skeptic. He's into conspiracies, but his skepticism is equally with the conspiracies as it is with mainstream narratives.
Yeah, but, he there are some conspiracies that are just bullshit, and there's some like there's some fire, there's some smoke there. There's obviously a fire, like the whole like fucking Bill Clinton is going to speak at the damn DNC, but there's credible.
What the fuck is that about?
There's credible evidence he was on Epstein's island now, so like it's
And are you out of your? I mean, anybody that follows me on Instagram already knows that I do not care for the DNC in the slightest.
No.
Anybody who listens to this show regularly should know that. Like, I don't like it. I think it's a corrupt political party. But are you fucking kidding me? Like, why? Like, why would you have him come and speak?
Well, they know people don't give a shit. They know there's a certain people. The people that are going to watch that convention aren't going to believe either. It's all right-wing propaganda. It's all lies. It's nothing real. But anyway, back to the never owning digital media. We'll get to that shit later.
Yeah, we'll get to politics eventually.
And that's just such a like.
But the point I was going to make, what I think that we are going to is to avoid. You don't want corporate fascism, which arguably is kind of what we have right now in America.
Had for a long time.
Yeah, we don't have you. It's not socialism. It's corporate socialism, or corporate fascism, or crony capitalism, however you want to call it.
It's all fingers on the same glove.
Right. The bridge of capitalism and socialism, I still believe, can exist, but you can't. This notion of like turning over means of production and whatnot, it can create a monopoly, right? So I think that in order for people that want to maintain a capitalist model with social programs, which that seems to be the most logical approach, in my opinion.
That's like people always say, like, the European model, like what Denmark does. Like, they have strong social programs. There's an argument with that. But they're also a capitalist economy.
They privatized everything. The government doesn't control the pension programs or even the education system. The private sector competes for those subsidized programs. They also tax the shit out of the lower class for it. But everybody that's in the lower class is incentivized to move up into a different tax bracket because everything you need is already there. Right?
Yeah.
So whatever you make left over is yours. While I don't agree with it, they are allowing people in the lower class to keep 40%, right? And they could spend that, I guess, on luxury items or savings or whatever. But when you eventually move up, since the basic needs are already met for everybody in that class, when you move up out of that class, they tax you less and you get to keep more of your pay. I'm not sure how that works, but it seems to have worked because a lot of those, I guess you would call them what used to be Nordic countries, like the
Finland,
the other white meat, that they tried the socialism approach with the government controlling the means of production, and it tanked them. It tanked them hard for about.
Work. Right.
It does not. Why would you want? You don't trust the government anyways, and you think by flipping the board over and starting from scratch is any better? That's also ridiculous. Like, I'm not about that, but I think that these competitors, even though there's only 6 major players, and I think Google tried to buy Spotify, and I believe they told them no.
As far as we'll just keep it with music streaming. You have Spotify, which is notably probably the king. You've got Amazon Music. You've got Apple Music, and then you've kind of got Google Music's a thing, and there's
YouTube does as well.
Yeah,
but
YouTube, but YouTube kind of encompasses everything, so you kind of just out of there. But so it's solely for music streaming. But the big 3 are Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music.
Yeah, even Pandora, this show is it's still waiting.
Yeah.
To get on Pandora. It's something like 6 weeks after submission.
I forgot about Pandora. That person, I forgot about Pandora. No one fucks with Pandora.
It's the services are gonna change over time and over time. I know I used dude. Will you get down, please, and stop fucking with that? Yes, you. Bonkers. Anywho,
yeah.
I use Buzzsprout for a distributor for the podcast, and it they take care of everything. So it's really good for me because I'm terrible at marketing. As far as so I just put it out there. You know what I mean? And taking the time with music and music distribution, you used to have to need to know people in the industry, in the record industry, get your music out.
The internet has flattened everything. Everybody's we're literally on a even playing field.
Yeah. P2P sharing. It started with Napster, but then Kazaa, Bear Share.
Yeah.
See,
that's the thing. Kids these days don't know what it means to have to set up 12 songs to download overnight to burn a CD.
I still have a CD burner.
Yeah.
I still have one. I plan to keep it because they're almost they're hard to find now.
And that medium of doing that is still part of that analog on the digital because it's a digital medium. Mm-hmm. There's mechanics to it. You have to actually physically do it yourself.
Yeah.
You build the track list on Winamp, burn it. It's the ceremony and all that type of stuff. Yeah, go whip his ass.
Oh, come on, bro.
Colt's gonna go fuck his cat.
Ceremony, you saying?
The ceremony of thinking up the track list, downloading those songs, making sure the songs are just somebody recording off a radio, and building that perfect mixtape CD for yourself. That's gone. And around the way, you still build a playlist, but it's not there no more. The ceremony of perfectly crafting it so it has the right ups and downs, a crescendo and ending and stuff. All that's gone. You just throw a bunch of shit on a playlist and you just hit play and then go run or whatever.
There was something ceremonious about it, though. I thought it was wild whenever you would, whenever I guess it was iTunes was the first one, maybe it was Winamp, that you got the album art with it as well, in your player.
iTunes was the first one that I remember,
and I thought, wow, that's incredible. And then on a lot of them, whenever it was paused or whatever, it's your phone's asleep or whatever, but it's still playing music and it would still show the image on it. I was like, wow, that is so cool. But yeah, now everything is
you don't own anything. You don't. I mean, and technically, you go get like a big brained, like 5-head, like you really don't own anything. You lease everything from the government through taxes. Like you don't own. Let's say this is your house. You really don't own this house. You lease it from the local municipality through your homeowners taxes. You don't pay the homeowners taxes. You get evicted and they sell your house.
Yeah.
Like you own, let's say you own this little 4-acre lot here of the house. You don't pay that. You don't get to keep it a year later because the government's going to take it. And that's you're seeing that in like digital mediums now. Like no kid is going to know unless they want to. What's I'd have to like go up to GameStop, reserve a game, get harassed like a fucking co-ed at a fucking frat party to like pre-order this game. It's like, no, I just want Halo 2. Shut up. Just give me Halo 2. You want Assassin's Creed? No, I don't want Assassin's Creed. Just shut the fuck up. Give me my goddamn game. Just shut the fuck up. And there's the whole story of like, for me, like driving from Lakeland to Valdosta, getting the fucking game, and it goes back to me too. Opening the case up, looking at the art of the book.
Oh man, that was always the most rewarding thing.
Yeah,
whenever you opened up the booklet and it's like they put some thought into the design. Of it. It's like, wow.
Well, like for like music, like holding the booklet and reading the lyrics as the song is going on, so you know exactly what the fuck they're saying. Like, and you don't. It's all that shit's gone now.
Yeah.
Like, that's why like your most popular music is like has a very good melody or whatever. The words are fucking inconsequential, and it's got a good beat. And it's produced well. That's why Post Malone's music is so good. Like nothing he says makes a fuck. It can just be him mumbling, and people are like, yeah, it's fucking fire.
And it is fire.
It is fire. Like, to give him fucking credit, like he's probably one of the most underrated artists like of any genre. Like did you see the whole thing? They did like the Nirvana tribute for.
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
He fucking killed it.
No doubt.
He has a great rock voice.
Yeah,
like it was really impressive, and he was respectful of the medium and the music, and to Nirvana, and it was fucking great. And that drives people crazy because, like, he's even said, "I'm not a rapper." Like he just used that. That was what he. I don't know how you would say it. That's what that style of music is what he used to break in, and like he's grown as an artist.
Yeah. Well, even like the older I get, like the music that I enjoy is like the albums where one they put some collective thought into it. It's a bigger picture, and two, I don't know what's gonna happen on it. You know what I mean? Like
rock music is goddamn fucking awful now. Like it's all the fucking.
I wouldn't know.
I mean, like I try to like find new stuff to listen to, and it's literally like music is cyclical anyway. Like you're starting to, like, and another cool, we're all over the fucking place. Like Instagram is starting to have advertisements for bands now, like it was whenever you'd watch MTV or Much Music. You have like the Dredge commercial or Finger 11 would come on advertising with CD. Like you have that on Instagram now, which is kind of cool. But like it's like all the bands that are kind of advertised now, they sound like that 2000 to 2004 style of rock now. Mall metal, yeah. Like there's a band
I saw this was probably a year or two ago. It was Under Oath, I believe, and I was like, oh, of course it's only a minute, but that's what they're playing, and just like me, who's somebody who's like kind of like a snob when it comes to certain things, like they told me in school with learning like audio and video stuff that we're going to ruin music for you. We're going to ruin movies for you. We're going to ruin TV for you. And how you deal with it is up to you.
Well, you know how the sausage is made now.
Yeah. So like you gain a different perspective on it. But like whenever I heard that glossiness come over, I was like, rock music hasn't gone anywhere. Like it's, as far as like as a market, there's artists still, like I mean, like Tool, of course, is still putting out music. That sounds like Tool.
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age is still putting out music. That sounds like Queens of the Stone Age.
That's my biggest critique of.
But those bands always sounded like themselves. Like anyway,
if you go by Fear Inoculum and think they're going to change their sound after what shit, 25 years
since 92.
Yeah, 92.
So 24 years.
If they're going to change their sound up, and your biggest critique is they didn't change their sound up, like
28 years.
Yeah,
28 years.
Like almost 30 years they've been making music. And they do a good, like Fear Inoculum is a good album, but it's not like they're not breaking new fucking barriers with it, and that's what I expected when I went into it.
I was expecting a Tool album.
Yeah, and then I got one.
Yeah, I definitely got a Tool album. I like that all of the songs that involved a significant portion from all four members were all more than 10 minutes long a piece. Like, I dug that. Like, I
think Fear Inoculum is probably one of the best songs I've ever done. That and Penumbra.
I like, Invincible off of that album. I mean, I like the whole album.
Yeah.
But, I mean, credit to both of your points. As far as, like, it being a good album, and also, like, shit, man, just being, like, out of touch with it. Because, again, like, that's something that's still going on, relevant in the world, that was relevant to me as, like, 12 years old, like, coming up, like, through the world.
It's the other thing, like, coming up, I remember they're having, like, advertisements for Aerosmith and, like, Rolling Stones new albums. I'm like, who the fuck listens to that? I'm always going to find new music to listen to. And here I am at, like, 36 listening to the same fucking shit I listened to when I was 18 years old. Like, and I don't like most of the new shit because it's just not, I don't like it, or it just sounds like the shit when I was 18 years old, and it's not, it's a new band doing the same thing that fucking Korn did or Seven Dust did or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of it, it took stuff like Meshuggah took with gent metal, and just like I fucking love Meshuggah. Like, Meshuggah's like some awesome metal. Probably other than Black Sabbath, I'd say my definition of, like, what's a metal band.
That is a metal. I was listening to Bleed on my like, when I crossed the overpass, like, Bleed, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
That fucking because they do that rhythm in it, but the string instruments, the bass and guitar, they're just slowly bending that.
Well, his feet are doing one thing, his hands are doing another, playing a different. I don't know music fucking terms, but you know what I mean. And it's like
a New Millennium Cyanide Christ.
Yeah,
like that song fucking rips, dude.
The Demon is Surveillance is another fucking one that I would gladly murder people to.
It's good workout music. It's like joking aside, like it triggers like a primal rage in you, to where like you can like power some like fucking.
You want to talk about some shit that, like, you would not think would jazz you up? You ever heard of a Tribe Called Red?
No.
It's like it's Indian, it's Native American music done over like electronic beats and shit like that. They got the fucking war drums and the chant stuff, and like you literally want to come out of your skin.
My buddy Ben Stubbs, he was playing something for me, and he's just like so like soft spoken. He's like, oh, have you ever heard this like something band about? And it's like, oh, it's like a Viking like kind of war music. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
And like he puts it on, and it was like the slow like
build up with the drums,
like you put it like around your fire in your mind, this image of something around a fire.
Fuck. I know exactly. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Helion.
I have no idea.
Does it have like a chick singer in it too?
I have no idea. Like
is it like throat singing, kind of like rhythm?
I mean, it's not like shoot, who is the Mongolian metal band, the Han?
Yeah, the Han. Yeah,
the Han. It wasn't like as like chanty and like as throaty as like that. Like, but like this was like, if there was any sort of electrified string instrument going on, then it was not in the foreground, and it was like very, very low, which probably would have been like one bass.
I had to guess that's probably Helion, which is like, that'd be a show you want to see on fucking acid, because they dress up in like full like Celtic garb and shit like that, and they've got like bones, and like they play on like skin drums and shit like that. It's really, really, it's probably who he's talking about. Probably not. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
I like stuff like that though, man. Like,
it's different.
Well, I mean, I've learned a lot about myself in 36 years of existing. And one thing about music that I tend to favor is it doesn't really matter what the genre is. I like a heavy rhythm section.
Yeah.
So, especially like adolescent music, like whenever like I was learn how to play guitar. By the time I was like 15 or 16, because I'm self-taught, so it took me a while to get started. But I could play some songs and whatnot. Nothing cool, but I could play like Green Day and Creed.
What was the first song that you learned to play?
Brain Stew by Green Day.
That's probably like 2 chords all the way through.
Nah, it's it's just power chords.
Yeah.
But it's what would that be? 5 notes, so it's like da 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 da, and so it's staccato, like just hits and it just repeats over and over again. And like when I figured it out, I was like, oh my god, because I like that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can do this. Like I can do this. And then
I believe in me.
But then I heard Korn on the radio because coming in West Virginia when I first got into music. Like we moved down here like within the year of like me getting into music.
Was it Life is Peachy probably?
That's what came out, and I heard No Place to Hide on the radio, Tallahassee Gulf 104. They played late at night. They would play like current stuff. They didn't have to abide by the safe harbor hours of the FCC and the religious right, telling them what they could play, what was decent.
None of that devil music.
Yeah, but they would have interviews and sneak previews of new albums. Yeah. So like every Sunday night they had a sneak preview of, I remember I think it was Load by Metallica, or it was either Load or Reload. They preview. I'm pretty sure it was Load.
It feels right. When did you move down here?
I moved here in '96. Load came out in '96 as well.
Yeah, this had to be Load then.
And Reload, I think, came out in 98.
97, it was a year after.
Was it?
They did, because I think the original...
You're right, yeah.
They were going to do, like, one big, like, double album, and...
Figured it was too much of a load.
Yeah, too big of a load. You couldn't handle it.
I liked Load, man.
Yeah, like, it was good.
It was like slowed Southern biker stoner metal. Like it wasn't thrash metal, and that's fine because like the Black Album like took thrash metal and like pop metal to like stadium kind of. Well, in hindsight, like I'm not a big fan of the Black Album. Like
the Black Album has some bangers on it, but like
overall, it does. Wherever I May Roam is a fucking banger.
That was the last. That was the last old era Metallica album.
Yeah, from that the thrash era. Yeah, and then Load. They. Revamp themselves, I guess.
Yeah, they shaved their hair off, and now they're cool now.
Dad metal.
It's dad metal, like, and that's fine. That's good.
I like it when a band tries something because to sound truly unique unto themselves, it's kind of rare in music. Yeah. You know what I mean? Tool can pull it off because Tool is more than just pop like songs.
Well, Tool does the thing is like they let it cool off for a while. Like what was 13 years between what was the fucking
10,000 days?
10,000 days and Vicarious. That was the first song on the album.
Yeah, Fear Inoculum.
Yeah, Fear Inoculum.
Yeah, 13 years.
You give time for like people to like go out, listen to the shit, and come back. So when you come back, it's like coming home almost. So this is a Tool album, new Tool album. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, like, hats off to them to try, like, they started fucking Asian thrash metal was a thing. They weathered the hair metal storm by staying who they were. Made some fucking great music.
Oh yeah, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, Master of Puppets and Justice for All.
Have you heard they do and Justice for Jason, where somebody remastered it and brought the bass up?
No, I haven't heard it.
You can find it on YouTube. Oh yeah, because now you can actually hear the bass on "And Justice for All." Yeah. It's like almost insultingly low on the whole album.
Well, because they wanted it to be fucking guitars and drums and the vocals. But mainly, no one gave a fuck about the bassist back then.
Yeah,
and even now, like there's very few art bands that they give credit to the bassist. Like LD50 is a great album because of the fucking bassist. It was right up front.
I had I had friends of mine in the metal community up in Jersey that like I would talk about like LD50, they'd be like that new metal, like, and then like
God, like, I hate that term.
But like I'm like bro, like I'm telling you, put on LD50, like it has segues in it of like weird trippy music and Terrence McKenna
talking about like apes and mushrooms and shit. And
yeah, like it's a fantastic album, and like you can't listen to the drums and the bass on that album. Like Rhino, whatever his name is, his bass tone on all Mudvayne albums is clean.
Yes,
he does not use effects, distortion, like phasing, anything of that. He keeps a clean channel, and like that is so cool to me. And he'll play a fretless bass on a lot of their songs.
He apparently, this is shit trying to pull shit like an article I read 20 years ago, but apparently he is a classically like a trained classical guitarist. So that's why he's so fucking technical and shit. So like you don't see that in like music at all, really. Like
you have it like you have some virtuoso stuff, like, but it's still like even the virtuoso stuff is kind of like marketed to a certain. I mean, not that I'm hating on it or anything, but I mean like Animals as Leaders, like that's some virtuoso like playing.
Tobin Asai is I know I fucked his last name up, but I think it's Asabi. Tosin. We'll just go with Tosin.
Dude with the wicked hair.
Wicked hair and the fucking like he's probably one of the fucking best guitarists around right now.
Like he's fantastic.
It's incredible the shit he does. I like KFO is on my lifting playlist, and that's usually what I start a workout with.
It's
but that's one of those,
it's rhythmically just like it just hits like consistently, like and much like LD50.
Yeah,
there's only like one song on LD50 where I'm like, all right, fellas, you could done without this, and it's towards the end, and it's where he does the rap rock thing.
See, that's like
he's like break it down like a motherfucking hurricane.
Yeah.
What under my skin.
That is a hallmark of that era of music, the Limp Bizkit, Korn, new metal era.
Mm-hmm.
And like Slipknot gets roped in with new metal, and that's like no.
I call them new metal.
No,
but
offensive. I moved to censor.
But I mean, even Incubus and Deftones came up in the new metal scene. Like people don't want to think about Incubus was like an Ozfest band whenever they first started.
You don't think of Incubus as a new metal band, just like you don't think of the Deftones as a new metal band. Like I don't even know what genre you would put Deftones in, like post grunge. I don't really know.
I usually just call it alternative, right?
Yeah.
I mean, normally, like if people ask me what I do, I'm just like, I mean, it's alternative, but I mean,
what's alternative? Alternative meant like you just bought clothes at Hot Topic and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that even mean?
Like I don't know, like I love Deftones, and like you see,
that's another band that
from
really grown.
White Pony to Self-Titled to Saturday Night Wrist, like those three albums, like are so weird, and like they're like
fucking Minerva, Drive, the whole White Pony album. That's another one that I got a discussion with somebody the other day about like nostalgic albums. White Pony will always remind me of going to my grandma's house and everybody going swimming and shit, because that's what we would listen to.
Yeah.
And then I remember me and you sitting in the truck, and then you finally putting the two together. Deftones. Like you didn't, like it never registered that like Deftones, like a deaf person in tones. Like, oh, okay. And you were the smart one back then. And my stupid fucking ass noticed that right up front.
There's also Deft Ones, like they're I think deft means skilled, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So the Deft Ones, like so it's a triple portmanteau, or something. Or
there I'm gonna agree with you.
Or double portmanteau. I'm not sure,
but no, that's just what other bands were out there that like you would not really. I mean, Incubus, Deftones, that's another one.
Incubus definitely like evolved from Fungus Among Us to Morning View, I think,
Fungus
was 4
and Bogus,
albums.
Yeah, they were like that. You could tell in the earliest shit they're trying to be Red Hot Chili Peppers. I always got that vibe from them. Then like Make Yourself, Onward, like you tell. I guess hit their stride. I don't really like their latter stuff, but like that.
I mean, it's cool they're still putting out music, but I'm not a big fan. I like Science. Like Science
is good. Yeah,
Science to me, it's the latter half of it is really fantastic. The first half of it, again, I don't think it's their best album. It's just my favorite out of theirs. But the first half of it is, it's still definitely got that Red Hot Chili Peppers, Mr. Bungle, like kind of like feel to it. And then the second half, they start getting like weirder. Like it opens up a certain shade of green, and then has a
what was the album
favorite thing
after Morning View? Like I can't listen to Morning View because
Crow Left of the Murder.
Yeah. I was so excited for them to come out with that, and then like I hated it. I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
I hated it when I first heard it.
I went back to it like 4 years later after my taste in music had went elsewhere for a while, and I was like, "This is a very good fucking album." Like talk shows on mute is one of my favorite songs.
Really?
Yeah.
My favorite ones off that album, I like Six Sad World.
That's a good one.
Or is it Six Sad Little World?
That's Six Sad World. Yeah.
There's
no little.
Pistola. I like that one. I like Pink Tractor Beam.
That's a good one.
But what was his name? Dirk Lance. I think maybe it was
what a name.
I think it was a pseudonym for the bass player. But the original bass player. But yeah, he left after Morning View, and Morning View is their best album in my opinion.
I cannot listen to Morning View because that was senior year. I hate nostalgia. I hate those feelings because it's like I get it, but like you're just trying to dig shit up from your past to like make your present feel better at the time, and it's like worry. It's just a waste of fucking time. You don't accomplish anything. You get it's like eating McDonald's. It's empty feelings that don't. And they have their place, like you got a kid, you go build Legos with them, or like you let them play this game or listen to this CD. There's good things of nostalgia. I just don't like solely nostalgia.
Yeah, and it's like masturbating to memories.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Those things let them be in the past. Enjoy them, but don't like. I feel like you're trying to bring those emotions you had then to the present for whatever reason you want to do it. I just think I don't get into that. Like I'm not a big nostalgia person.
Not in that regard. I mean, like shit, dude. I don't even like watch like movies or anything. Like I'll keep up with South Park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really about it. Now
South Park stays in the present though. It's like you're not going back watching like the first season trying to like recreate those feelings you had in 7th fucking grade. You know what I mean?
No, it's very very rare that I'll sit down and watch stuff. Even like now it's like 2 weeks after I finished like the album and whatnot. Like I'm already working on like the next project because after like one weekend I was like I can't fucking do this, man. Like I can't just like sit idly by and
you gotta put your energy somewhere.
Yeah, man. Like to I don't know, to like revel in just like I finished it now. Time
now I can play video games and jerk off all the time.
Yeah. It's like man, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like because I've spent like so long, like that's what I've been doing with like my spare time. It's like shit, man. That's what I like to do.
Well, it's like me,
working on stuff.
It's like a Rolling Stone. Like if you stop, I'm real like with work. The way my job works is I'm real fucking busy from like April to like October, and then it slows down for 6 months. And there's like there's weeks that the only thing I do is get up, get dressed, go put hay out for cows, let them on the pastures. Look at my phone, read a book, go home, play video games. That's all I fucking do. And that's really intoxicating because you get in that groove of a slow lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
When you start coming up out of it, like it's painful. It sucks.
Yeah,
and then like
to grow as a person is not an easy process.
Then you get back into what's busy with doing everything else. Like you get in the flow, and like it gets sometimes like on Sunday I get aggravated because I'm home not doing something.
Right.
And I wish I could keep that momentum all the way through, but like you can only run so far, and then you run out of road. You know what I mean? So you get And I guess I could find better things to do in the off times of the year, but like, I mean, what else is there to do?
Well, I mean, right now of all years, especially, you know,
nothing's went on this year.
Like there is a go back to dating app as a reference point, but still in the same swipe session or whatnot. Come across people who are like I love to travel for work. I'm like, well, what a fucking luxury you have right now, man.
Thank God you can travel for work.
Yeah, it's like
I haven't left my house in 5 fucking months.
I mean, like my whole stance with everything that's going on is that nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Like, nobody
is the most accurate and reasonable and probably the right position of what's going on in 2020. No one knows what the fuck is going on. No one has any fucking answers. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You can go about your life. You don't have to stay plugged in all the time. Keep abreast of the issues and go on about your fucking day. Because no one fucking knows.
Yeah.
You can tune in and see it in the morning. They're not going to know a goddamn thing in the afternoon or the rest of the fucking week. So just tune them out. Tune all the fucking news out. Flip through pick a news source you like, go through it, get abreast of what's going on in the world, realize you're getting a biased opinion on something, and then move on about your day.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah. Talk with other people that
actual people. Yeah.
Yeah, and share opinions on current events. Like, there seems to be this... It's like everybody wants to find these little pockets they're comfortable in, and then everybody congratulates one another, and then they shout nasty words at anybody that tries to stop the self-congratulatory stuff from going on.
Oh, yeah.
But, no, I haven't trusted the news since 9/11, man. Like...
Well, the same people who sold us 9/11 are the same ones selling us... And I'm not I'm a big, huge Trump fan, but the same people who sold us what 9/11 is or wasn't, they sold us the Iraq War, all lockstep, are now all lockstep saying this president is bad, or this COVID outbreak is whatever, and like, cut all the fat and get down to the meat. They're right, but like, you have all this fat of their opinion spun on it. Like, you go to an article, the actual meat of the article is like 20 paragraphs down because they know you're not going to fucking read it. They're going to they'll put all they want you to know in the first 2 paragraphs in the headline because they know you're not going to go past that.
Yeah. Or watch, whenever this presidency started, and because it was such a, I don't know what to expect, but I knew I was really happy that Hillary Clinton was not the president. That was my primary thing. Just because I got tuned into that Pizzagate shit, like within the year prior to that, and real
or not, it's like the whole thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire and things, and you can create smoke, but it's hard. It's weird. It's weird. You talk to these people like Tony Podesta and stuff that. Oh, they're normal people. Then you go in their house and he has pictures of naked preteen girls and torture. It's like, do you want to explain this? They had there's pictures of Lady Gaga eating sushi or some shit off of a woman naked laying in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
It's I get some people are eccentric and artsy, but and that what if that was a one-off thing for Halloween? Okay, yeah, whatever. They're rich, they're weird, whatever. But you have a long history of these things through several people in that echelon of society. You have to go. I don't mean to point out an obvious thing here, but I think these people are raping and murdering children.
Yeah. Well, It goes back to the Julian Assange, the whole WikiLeaks thing.
We're just gonna get off. We're going into the conspiracies and geopolitical stuff now.
But I mean,
we're off of life now.
A friend of mine was called the podcast Conspiracy Podcast. I was like, well, it's not really a conspiracy podcast. I mean, it's just a conversational podcast. Just that there's a lot of conspiratorial things that are relevant in the world right now.
If you look at 2020 and say, shit happens, man. It's just all chaos. I don't know. I don't think I can have a real conversation with you. And likewise, it's people like, it's the shadow government, man. They're all fucking pulling the strings, all the puppets. And I can't talk to you either because it's both. It's like chess moves. Like, some things, chaos, the world is absolute fucking chaos. And then you try to assign, people trying to assign conspiracy is trying to bring order to it. Because then people want order. But then you get people that like go on about like, if somebody wants to believe coronavirus is caused by 5G and you like present all the evidence that it's not, and they still like, oh, well, just think about it. I can't. You're done. I can't do anything with you.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're
not thinking logically.
No, because like the same thing. Like I've shown like you and Justin like stuff on like flat Earth and geocentrism for just to like show you like, look at these arguments, and neither one of you all were like, oh my god, like, well, I've been lied to. Both of y'all were like, interesting. I don't buy it, but that's interesting.
I didn't go out and buy a flat Earth shirt automatically. I didn't join the tribe, but like I was like, I actually had an acquaintance of mine through like farming and stuff that like we were at the cooler one day, and he started showing me all the geocentric like the light map of the universe. He showed me, and he was like, and apparently he knew the guy that did that. Like, he's really interested. I can't say his name because for legal purposes, like I said, but like, he's a very interesting guy, highly intelligent. He was practicing. He was going to do chemistry in college, and he realized this is all fucking bullshit. And then he went and did some other shit for a while. But he like showed me the heat map of the universe, and he said like, if you do it like this, bring it back together, it shows you that the Earth is in the middle of everything, not like we think it is.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a friend who believes that stuff. Y'all should get together.
Dude, talk with me after after we're done recording the podcast. I'm just saying. We'll talk about it later. But no, the point being, they're relevant right now. But like with the Julian Assange stuff, like there was something that was released, I think in 2010 or 2011. The FBI put out about pedosymbology, and there were 4 symbols in particular they put out. One was a triangle that was spiraled and another smaller triangle inside of it. The other one was a spiral that was like a paper clip that had like a smaller paper clip inside of it. There was a butterfly with a nested butterfly, and there was a heart with a nested heart. And they were different pedo symbols that were used that they found in this human trafficking network. Now, what happens is people will take what's talked about in the WikiLeaks stuff with pizza and handkerchiefs, hot dogs, and walnut sauce, and like all this weird stuff that...
Well, code language, just like shit like the mafia had to use as code language.
Yeah. But so the FBI hasn't said that what Assange is talking about is true. Like, but they're connected like so much. Like, and throughout, like, the people that are mentioned, and like I got hip to this, and then I saw in 2016 when Sanders, whom I gave money to, like in 2016, I saw he and the orange asshole talking, and I was like, these two are talking about populism. Yeah. I like this because that's some actual change that, and like Trump or hate him, he has brought change truly to America.
Good and bad. I don't think he is good for the psyche of the country.
I don't think change ever is good for the psyche of the country. But
change is painful.
Yeah, but yeah, there are certain areas that, man, I look at like just what the establishment of the DNC has done, because they condoned everything that was going on with Clinton and
Rogan talks about this all the time. It's like, you don't fly to somebody's island that's known for fucking 14-year-olds 26 times and not just completely ignore it. Like,
I've never even flown 26 times.
I've never been on a fucking plane. So,
man.
I mean, I would notice like to fly to a fucking private island to fuck a 16-year-old, because I'm not getting on a goddamn plane.
I mean, seriously, point being, like, they're still having him speak, like, at the convention, correct?
Yeah, and like, goddamn, can you find new people in your party to fucking talk?
They don't want to. The point being is they've marketed to the progressive audience, right?
Yeah.
And they're not delivering anything. They're just marketing to them. It's the same strategy they used with Bernie in 2016, and it worked. And I got hip to it. You know what I mean? So, like, I see what they're doing again. And now there was some war game that John Podesta participated in, where he represented the Democrats, and in an effort to win the war game, they decided to secede, like, Oregon and Washington and California from America.
Good, go ahead.
And
like, if those 3 states fell off in the fucking ocean, the rest of America would not fucking know, because they film everything in Atlanta now. The Southeast can produce all the food more reliably than California can. California is a fucking... It's an unsustainable state. It's in a fucking desert. It's mountainous. It's got desert. It's a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong, but like...
It's arid.
It's arid. Like, where our food is produced, it's fertile, but they had to pump water by the billions of gallons out of the fucking ground to keep it going.
Well, they got so many people, too.
Yeah.
Like, I think in, like, Southern California alone has, like, 20 million people. Like...
And, like, 15 million of that is in fucking the greater LA area.
Yeah. Like, that's too many people. And, like, that, like America's vast. Like, vast. And California, their management, I don't give a shit what political party runs it, but as it turns out, it happens to be, from my understanding, mostly Democrat run in California.
Well, I think you're gonna start seeing cities collapse. You already got, like, Como begging the rich people to come back to New York. They're not gonna come back to New York.
Yeah, they shut down, or they're now having entry points at Manhattan Island, if I'm not mistaken.
I get it. You don't want to have, like, well, if we're being honest, I think New York probably has herd immunity at this point, because they fucked it up so bad that, like, their wave is like a herd immunity wave. Like, you don't do shit, everybody gets it, and it falls off. And, like, what you're seeing in the South is, like, you're seeing what the planned wave. Like, this is all a plan. It's not, I won't say planned, but, like, anybody that looks at
people say, I told you!
I knew it! The Illuminati and George Soros! But now, like, if you look at the, it's never really dipped. Like, if you look at the Southeast as a region, it's stayed like this. And that's what we're supposed to do. Flatten the curve.
Right.
It's not no hard, sharp spike. We had a second wave because of the fucking protests, people going to Chili's and shit. But, like,
yeah,
it's like, people can see my hand on the podcast, but, like, like, you got a nice little pretty white. It's still, and it's kind of starting to flatten out. And, like, we had a little spike, and it's kind of flattening out. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, flattening the fucking curve.
Yeah.
It was supposed to take 2 weeks, but, you know, here we are 5 months later.
This whole year's gone. Like, powers that are greater than any individual that I know of.
Yeah.
Decided that, you know what, we're going to shut it down, and then we're going to more or less keep our boot on the neck of America just to make sure that everybody's safe. And I don't know what to think of it, because I'm a socially distanced person anyway.
Yeah, this probably people ask how my parents are doing. My dad's, you could say he's sickly. He's worked. His body has gone to shit. He's in his latter years. He's somewhat feeble.
Yeah.
Would be in the high risk category. Everybody's like, well, how's your mom and dad doing? I'm like, doing good. He said, they're like, well, how'd they handle this? I said, they didn't do fucking shit before this. This is not a change of lifestyle for them.
No.
He gets out in the afternoon, he goes home. That doesn't change anything for him. If he gets COVID, it's because he wants to go lick a doorknob somewhere. So, I mean, he's not going to get it.
I mean, especially from, like, being out and about in the daytime. Like, I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but pretty confident with what I've come across showing that sunlight, ultraviolet light kills.
Yeah, they say
the
virus. And I get the argument why they're saying that they're trying to say that the protests didn't cause this.
The protests were going on more than just what the cameras were showing during the daytime. Even in Atlanta in particular. Around that, the Wendy's.
Yeah.
There in Atlanta, like, they sieged the Wendy's, and then, of course, somebody else, like, after they firebombed it, you know, they claimed it. Imagine. They claimed its own autonomous zone, which the irony is that, you know, their definition of autonomy means that they just take control over
history,
it.
You know, 5,000, and they seized the castle and did X, Y, Z. History books and founders, like, and they seized the Wendy's and burned it to the ground.
was on a cool spring night in Atlanta, Georgia. The Wendy's was ransacked.
Under the banner of Black Lives Matter.
Oh, God. Like, even like that. Well, I think a better term we should start using is audit the police rather than...
No, defund the police does not mean defund the police.
Oh, my God. Depends on who you're asking, right?
Well, the funny thing is like you have all these upper middle class white people telling black neighborhoods they don't need more police, that they can do it with a social worker and a box of chocolates and being nice and like addressing the problems. There's argument like get out there and address what's the issues the community causing that. But when you actually poll black people in black neighborhoods, and I'm a white guy talking about black people, so what the fuck I say doesn't really matter. But like 80% are like, nah, keep the police where they are. Maybe more.
Yeah.
Because you look at where they've withdrawn the police, like murder rates are up like 100% and shit.
Yeah, they police neighborhoods differently. That's the problem, right? Is the police shouldn't be there to be police. The police are there for law enforcement. That's what they should be there for.
Well, the other problem is that now they're also there for a revenue stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's interaction with cops is like you not paying attention and like running a fucking stop sign, or you like trying to get something out of your fucking seat and you swerve over, the cop pulls you over for maintain lane. We pulled over, your tag lights out, that type of shit.
Yeah. So now we're going to search your property.
Yeah.
Like that's
the main problem.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with it. Now, granted, the friends I have that are in law enforcement, they're good people. You know what I mean? I refuse to stand behind any quote unquote tolerant notions such as ACAB or anything like that. That's fucking ridiculous.
If you look at all the people yelling that shit, they are what you would if let's say they're out of their fucking LARPing gear and they're just standing, they're working at the fucking Starbucks because that's where they can only get a job at. You'd probably go on a limb and say most of them are fucking losers. I mean, really, if you look at like I remember one of the mobs in Portland. I guess they finally got ran out of downtown, so they went in the neighborhood and they just started harassing a random woman at her house. And what struck me is like they're all at the fucking front door talking shit. I don't know how it all transpired, but they're literally, you know how like doors have like the four rectangles on the door?
Yeah.
They're literally barely past halfway on the top rectangle. So these are all little fucking small, demure little. You call them they're losers. I mean, who the fuck else is going to go out and harass people in fucking full riot gear?
Terrorists.
Well,
if it's a political bent that they're behind it, with fear-based tactics, then that is like by definition terrorists.
They're not.
Right?
They were not saying what I would call winners, because who the fuck has time to?
Nor would I call them successful terrorists. No. That, but nonetheless, like bullies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I ain't down with that shit. You know why? Like one of the reasons why I love the idea of America is because you can save your money. You're a group of you. Now most of our money with churches goes to the institution itself to remain a tax-free organization.
If your preacher is pulling up in a 2020 Cadillac crossover vehicle, like I think you've missed the point of being a fucking preacher.
I don't think it's because Jesus blessed him. I think it's because there's a group of people that are giving him that money as an income.
A preacher at one of the largest churches in Lakeland that he wants to combine the church. He's a preacher at Lakeland, which is the most popular church in Lakeland, the one he preaches at in Homerville. He wants to combine congregations, and he's pulling in. I'm probably going to hell for remembering this. I hope I remember correctly. He's pulling like $4,000 or $5,000 a month from one church. So
it's good money.
Yeah, it's good money. Like, and I don't know if like taxing churches is the right way to go. I don't know. Like you have a lot of people yelling about problems, and either they don't have any like reasonable solutions, or they don't even really understand the problem.
Right.
They just somebody told them that's a problem, so now you can yell about it.
But we have a solution to that problem.
Burn it all down.
But to the point, you can get a group of like-minded individuals. You can pool your money together. You can buy some land, and you can like found some property, a community. If you want to go the anarcho-communist route, you can do that. You can do it through a capital like community and try to even incorporate your town. Now, granted, where I'm at, nothing's incorporated. Like kind of like out near Stockton. Yep. Like Stockton's not incorporated, but it's a town.
That's like you watch that documentary on Netflix, Wild Wild Country. Mm-mm. You need to. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
it was a.
I trust your judgment on Netflix documentaries because you know my taste pretty well. So
essentially, it was one of those Swami type guru Buddhist type people. Mm-hmm. He actually wrote a book that I read some of the Osho. God damn it, I can't remember it. It's about dying. He's one of those like Swami type. You know what I'm saying, right?
Right.
And they went out in Oregon and they put a fucking community in, and it shows how they went to this community and then they co-opted the local government and all that type of stuff and like made their own thing. Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's like how like America.
They started poisoning the surrounding community and all that type of shit. It wasn't a great thing.
Ooh, that's
don't
bad,
celebrate them yet.
Well, not they themselves be fantastic, but the principle,
the idea.
Yeah, the principle of like that's powerful, right? That's it goes back to something I was talking about on an earlier episode with my buddy Andy Kirkland about. Like I don't think that foreign countries should be allowed to purchase land in America. I think they should be allowed to lease land from like Americans, but like a foreign country shouldn't be able to come in and purchase our land.
We've got Chinese and foreign interests that own like 100% of American companies now. Yeah. Like the gaming industry is literally ate up with 10-cent money. And that was one of the biggest things. Like they're banning WeChat and Discord. I think WeChat is owned by Tencent.
They're banning Discord?
No, they own Discord. But not WeChat, but the parent company Tencent owned WeChat, which is getting kicked out just like TikTok.
Gotcha.
But Tencent also owns stakes in Epic Gaming, Riot Games, which is like one of the biggest games. They do League of Legends. It's one of the biggest games in the world.
Yeah. You can become a multi-millionaire from being a League of Legends player.
Yeah, and then but they own like 10-15% of other gaming companies, and like their fingers are in everything. And people are like, holy fuck, if they have to sell like their shares in like stuff.
You want some water?
I'm good.
Sure.
Yeah, if they just like sell their shares and shit, like it's going to cause a ripple effect, and people like freaking out. But then they came back and said, no, it's just these two apps that they're getting rid of. So,
well, I've seen stuff where they're talking about like selling it to Microsoft.
Microsoft has stepped up. Twitter just yesterday was talking about buying out because they fucked up. Like nothing will replace Vine. I don't know if you ever got to Vine, but Vine was with
8-second videos. Or?
Like there's an era of the internet from like 2007 to 2014 before like these multinational corporations realized, hey, we can make money on this thing that's been out for 20 years.
Yeah,
and they came in and they ruined fucking everything. But like. When like it was a good app, and like Twitter bought it and then fucked it up and then got rid of it. So, and then there was nothing for a while, and then TikTok came out of nowhere.
And Twitter, I've never had Twitter, and in hindsight, I'm really glad I never did, because in the days when I would just post all my feelings and frustrations on social media. I've gone back since then and edited some stuff, but
I would say,
but like on Twitter, like the reason I never got it was because of the character limit, right? Because I think it's like 128 characters.
240 now.
240.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's stupid. Like I'm not gonna sign up. So I just never did.
I can't get an idea that small.
Not particularly.
But no, like I hardly ever post, but like I use it as like a window of the world to like see what's going on. Like when the fucking Beirut thing like blew up, like within an hour of it blowing up, I saw like 92 angles of the explosion and was like, holy fuck on every one of them.
Yeah.
So like it's really good for that. It's like a swamp. You ever look at a swamp? You're just, it's a beautiful swamp. Look at all the water. But
yeah, because you're not in the swamp.
Yeah, but when you get out way out in the swamp, there's mosquitoes, there's snakes, there's spiders, there's alligators, there's rednecks. Like you've got to be like you can get out there and get really fucking dirty and sick at the same time. So like, but it's like
eaten.
Yeah, and eaten alive.
Yeah,
or poisoned.
Dude, have you played any of Red Dead where you do missions in the swamp?
I've got to fucking play. I had a PS4 copy and then I don't know what the fuck I did with it. I think I'm just gonna buy it on PC and play it.
Oh my god. There's
10 owns a fair amount of Take-Two, which owns Rockstar, which makes so it's one of them things.
Well, maybe all this stuff is necessary growing pains because, like again, like there's some crazy shit going on in the rest of the world, and for the most part in America, everything's chill. Like for the most part,
well, it's been that way since like the Cold War. Like we're out blowing up fucking countries and shit, and the way of American life does not change like it did in other wars. Really, since like the Korean and Vietnam War, like you know, we had these wars going on, but like the way of American life did not really change that much like it did in World War II. Like we had like food shortages, and you were donating old shoes for fucking rubber and shit like that. You didn't have that.
No.
But
I think most folk in our generation, I'm not excluded, grew up soft. You know what I mean?
What's the old adage? Hard times make hard men make soft times make soft men.
Well, was it hard times produce hard men?
Yeah.
Hard men produce good times.
Good times, yeah.
Good times
Okay,
produce soft men. Soft men produce hard times. It's cyclical.
Yeah, it's all cyclical.
Yeah.
Time's a flat circle, man.
Yeah, I mean that. Like at the same time, though, it's like, shit, man. Like, good luck trying to learn everything there is in life. Like, it's impossible.
Well, you don't have time. Like, I mean, what do you do? Like, I would say is like me and you as a person. Video games are like a very large part, lesser part in elder age. A very large part of who. I'm not going to try to speak about who we are as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're a very essential part of your person. You know what I mean?
Well, it's tied to a lot of my recall memory. I was talking about this with a friend recently about the music that's in like some of those old 8 and 16-bit games. Like,
right.
Oh yeah. So I'll even like muscle memory from like my hands on the controller. Now, granted, the controller's different now.
Yeah.
You know, but unlike
you can pick up a regular old fucking little square Nintendo controller, and you pick it up like that. It's simple A B A B, but like you could make all the fucking jumps, but you wouldn't have to. There's no like relearning process.
Yeah. But what's interesting is sometimes if I find myself playing like old games like that, which is rare, but if I do enjoy like old Mega Man games or something. Yep. And like the music will trigger or the artwork will trigger, and I remember that sitting in the lunchroom in first grade at Buffalo Elementary, school, and then like I'll be able to start like piecing other memories from like that room or like that time period of me being.
Like your brain finds. It's like you're on a platform. And your brain is this like big, gigantic, like astronomically universal-sized warehouse that has these boxes on these big conveyor belts. And like you step in one, I remember this shit, and then like there's another door, and it just opens up into this never-ending like I don't know what you call it. Like memory goes to memory goes to memory. You remember like whole things.
Mm-hmm. I'll use a similar analogy when trying to talk people. They'll ask like what are psychedelics like? I'll be like, well, imagine that if your mind's like a hotel room, or not a hotel room, but a hotel, and that is every part of your conscious mind. Now, whenever you go into your hotel, normally, you go to where you're supposed to go, where you're allowed to go. There's some places that are off limits.
Yeah.
When you're on psychedelics, all the doors open in the hotel, and depending on the psychedelic, sometimes you'll be taken through rooms in the hotel.
You told me that like shrooms is a more primal, chaotic.
Shrooms is like church. Like it's you would have to have a really high amount in a short time, and probably by yourself, and have a weak mental constitution to have a bad time with.
I always wonder how I would handle shrooms or LSD.
LSD can be intense. Mushrooms, however, like, no, they're here for us. They're it's not a drug because it's readily available in nature, you know.
It happens naturally.
Yeah. So I think primarily our drug laws need to be re-examined because certain things that, for example, marijuana, ayahuasca, peyote, psilocybin mushrooms, these are readily available in nature. Therefore, they are not drugs or controlled substances.
I think it's Colorado. They're going to vote on psychedelic mushrooms this year.
I think they should be legal.
Yep.
I think you should be careful with them. You know what I mean?
think that's one of the things they need to be in a clinical setting. Like, not a clinical setting, but like you need to like...
I think if you want to have your own mushroom garden in your own house and like...
What are you going to do if a kid gets in that cult?
Well, one, do you have kids? Because if not, what the fuck is that child doing sneaking around on your property?
It's like, why is there a kid in your mushroom closet in your house, sir?
Mr. Podesta? Mr. Podesta, why is there a child in your mushroom closet, sir? Ow. There's not.
Not anymore.
I think those are straw man arguments, though. They're the same things that they'll use to attack gun laws, right? Or the right to have a gun is if you say like, well, what are you going to do if that child gets a stepladder and takes it to your bedroom and takes a lockpick and opens up the gun safe? And if he can't do that, he takes his little Lego demolition box that you got him, probably at a gun store.
See what you do,
and then opens up the gun safe, takes out all of the guns, and fires 6,000 rounds per second
at the daycare.
How will you feel then, sir?
What you're supposed to do with a kid in a gun house? You say, "This is a gun. It's not." You stop talking to 5, 6, and 7 years olds like they're fucking children. Sometimes,
yeah.
You have to. That's part of the reason why we have the problem we have now with people in their 20s now. It's like you're not raising a child, you're raising an adult. You have to shield them from some things in the world, let them be a child. But like you like with the gun thing, like, listen, my nephews, like, they had this talk too, like, this is a gun, it's not a toy, it's not like Call of Duty or Halo. You can kill somebody with this. Do not go in this closet.
Yeah.
And if you go in this closet, you're gonna lose X, Y, and Z, and you might get your ass torn up.
Yeah.
And you know what? My nephews respect guns.
I never fucked around with any firearms in my family at all. There were always guns, but like, nah. I remember I was young, and the first time I had a BB gun, so I think I was like 7 or 8, probably 8. And I was smiling, holding it, and I got fucking like a talking to from smiling and holding a BB gun. And I didn't like getting talked to like that.
I'll shoot you, Dad. But like, I don't know the fucking.
No, man. But I listen. Like
you hear these like a kid getting up and getting a gun and actually killing himself. I think like, okay, first of all, that gun should not have been where the kid probably shouldn't know there's a gun there to start with. Kids are intuitive; they're going to explore, get that. But you need to hey, there's a gun in here. Do not touch this. It will kill you. You can kill your brother. You can do whatever, X, Y, Z.
Right.
And I sometimes wonder if the parents are trying to hide that, and the kids are curious. They're going to find it and play it with it. If they have no concept of what a gun is or what a gun can do, like they're just going to play it like it's a toy.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, sometimes I shouldn't be fucking. This probably ruin my chances of being elected to office, but like I think that's on the parents. Well, accidents happen. Don't get me wrong; they happen, and it's tragic. But like that's kind of on them for not securing that gun, not having a talk to the child about what guns are and what they do. Like, guns are solely made to kill things. That's what they're there for. They're not. I mean, we've turned them into like a sport and an enjoyment and a pastime, but that's the purpose of a gun, is to kill somebody. And if anybody argues differently, they're not being genuine.
No, I agree with you 100%. And there is a problem with Because again, I am 2A all the way. Like, I don't think there should be anything legislatively that...
You think you should be able to walk into a convenience store and buy an AR-15 with a barrel mag and a silencer, don't you?
No.
But that would be great.
I don't think that those sort of stores should be convenient, kind of the same way you can't walk in and... I think cocaine is Schedule 2, so you can be prescribed it. I think for certain surgeries, heroin can be used as well. I may be wrong on the heroin one.
Think about heroin.
But for like cocaine is a local anesthetic, so for like eye surgeries, like you can use cocaine.
When you get injected in like for teeth shit, that is cocaine.
Dude, this was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I had a tooth that was rotten, and I had like 3 days until I could like get it like removed.
Yeah.
And like I was in such pain that I had to call in a favor to somebody. I was like, hey, can you help me out? Like, I'm telling you, man, like there was somewhere in my grandma's stuff. I don't know where it is now since she's passed, but
why did grandma have cocaine?
She did have cocaine. She had
grandma liked to party.
She had a tin of old toothache drops. They were cocaine drops. It was like Little Hall's candies.
That's crazy.
It was sold in like an Altoids tin. That was like back in like the 1920s or something like that.
We were so dangerous back then. Like we didn't know shit.
But I mean, they were like they just wouldn't sell to kids. Like that's where I think like you should draw the line. Is like, all right, well, does this have a toxicity to it? Then don't sell it to kids. Period. Like if you draw the line right there, I think that's fine. I think that's fair. Since now I'm like I don't like alcohol. When I was in Jersey, no alcohol was sold in convenience stores. None. You had to go to either a bar or a liquor store.
That's weird.
Some grocery stores might have a liquor store inside the grocery store,
but it's like separate, like same building, separate room.
There, somebody was explaining to me, maybe my buddy Dan Marchini, because I know he worked in the alcohol industry for a little bit. But the liquor licenses in New Jersey, some bureaucrat a few decades ago put in some cap on no more liquor licenses. It was in response to like some scandal that happened with like alcohol, right? Probably like people died. So the response was, well, we're gonna take charge of that right now, and we're gonna say no more liquor licenses. So what it did was it created a supply and demand vacuum where a liquor license now became millions of dollars.
Yeah, say like that. Yeah, you've got people who probably sold their licenses and made retirement money.
Well, because they had beer and wine, which was, I think, almost, it's not subsidiary, because I think that literally needs to be subsidized.
Yeah.
But it was tied to the food part of it. But the liquor, they could not tie into food sales. It had to be separate. Yeah. And you had to have a separate license for it. So even the beer and wine licenses, like, were expensive, but the liquor licenses, they had none available, and you couldn't apply for new ones, so all that were available were at minimum like 7 figures just to sell liquor.
Oh my god. That's government getting in the way easily.
Yeah, that's not it's not capitalism. You know what I mean? That's corporate fascism. That's kind of what's going on with the lockdown now. It's like all these big businesses, they're gonna be A-okay.
Oh, they are A-okay. Like the small businesses have collapsed like 50%, but Amazon, Walmart, all those things are like, they're booming.
Yeah.
Apple's booming. Like all those big billion-dollar businesses are doing just fine.
Yeah.
And they're also the ones that did the PPP loans.
Yeah. Yeah. Corporate socialism. That's what it is.
And like you do need and I think some people don't really understand how like businesses operate in America. Like you don't operate off your profits. You operate off lines of credit. So in essence, that first lot of loans, I think there are companies that need to have them I don't think it should have been fucking Ruth Chris getting the millions of dollars of fucking PPP loans because they should have corporate reserves for that type of shit to weather a 6-month storm. But I digress. But people don't realize that like you have to operate off lines of credit. You pay your lines of credit off at the end of fiscal year, and any profit you have, you shelter it. You do something else with it. You either reinvest it back into the company, or you go buy a piece of equipment. You go buy some real estate, or you eat shit, put it in a corporate savings account, and pay taxes on it. So some of these businesses that are floundering don't have a lot of cash because they're always the airlines are bad about this. They instead of taking their surplus of billions of dollars, they took around and bought all their stock back. So they'd have more control over the company.
Well, how'd that work out for them?
I think American Airlines might be going bankrupt.
Good Lord. I know travel and food industries are like hurting. Like,
well, you take
bad.
Most restaurants are going to operate off a 15% profit margin.
Yeah, a very small profit margin.
So
which they have to do, otherwise the cost of the meals would become ridiculously high.
Mm-hmm. So when you take people, and Valdosta is not, fuck, you go to Maury. I went to Maury last night to pick up some sushi, and the goddamn place is slam packed. I'm like, yep, there's COVID in here, definitely. So, but like, when you take out people coming in, like, the carry out dining outside is a good lifeline. They're probably breaking even, but like, well, they make money. You come inside, you sit down, you get a couple of beers, you get an appetizer, you stay a little longer, you get a little buzzy. Hey, bring some shots in, or a margarita, or whatever the fuck ever. That's where they make all their money. Like, beer and liquor makes money in restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked in the industry for a long time. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, about 10 years.
Like, you know, they'll say that, you know, $22 steak, but their profit margin of that steak's probably $3.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's not much at all.
Yeah. An old Venture Brothers episode where Hank gets pissed because they're not selling the lemonade. They're only selling like the hoagie. He's like, what you don't understand? He's like this is profit. Like the hoagie, like this cost us. Like
lemon. You get waters and lemons and a little sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Coke is the most profitable thing in a fucking restaurant. I mean, it really is. I don't know why I worked in Inmark. Like, I talked to the guy who hired him. He's that's irrelevant. Anyway, asked him, like, you know, the best of, he said, like, they make, he said, I think it was the gas is going on. I was like, I bet y'all making a killing off gas. He said, well, not really. He said the person making the money right now is the people who sell the gas, sell the fuel wholesale. That's who's making all the money. Because they pick it up, they drop it off, they get a little slice off the top.
And I imagine their inventory is already taken care of for a while.
Yeah, so they're good. But he said they make maybe 2-3 cents a gallon. But he said where we make our money is people coming and buying and drinking a bag of chips. He said where we really make our money is the drink machine. Because one of those packets of syrup is only like $12.
Yeah.
And off that pack of thing, they'll sell like 100, 200, 300 fucking fountain cokes off of it for $3 a piece.
I wonder what the profit margins would be off of like a Slurpee machine or something like that. Now the install will probably like take a significant amount.
That machine's probably $1,200-$1,800, but then like the fucking syrup, which is like literally pure diabetic coma-inducing sugar at toxic levels, and fucking food dye that's going to make you grow an extra toe. That bag of syrup's probably $20, but you'll probably sell 100, 150 Slurpees off of it.
It'll go for a while.
Yeah.
That's where I missed out. I made a fortune in the Slurpee industry.
There's a lot of things I look back now and said I probably should have. I really missed. I missed the boat on that one. But
so with what do you think? What do you think's going on politically right now with all these executive orders? For those who don't know,
fill them in. I gotta take a piss.
We'll just pause real quick.
He got me.
Oh, there he goes.
And we're back.
We're back. I feel so much better after masturbating. That was a really good idea.
Yeah. You got it all over me too.
Oh, mercy. Oh yeah. So these
executive orders.
Yeah. So I watched the press conference. As far as news, Instagram. There's a couple profiles that I follow. That when shit was really popping off, I was following a couple journalists that were in the cities, like that became journalists.
That's what you have to actually do now is follow. You can't follow the organization, but if you can find like independent journalists that you feel are ethical and honest, even if you don't agree with them, and get from the source. Like this whole thing, I'm getting we're already off topic, but like CNN and Fox News are both showing their angle on it, but when you actually get in the streets, like understand, like no, it's not black and white. There are people there who are protesting police brutality, and then there are people there who want to burn everything down. Like it's both.
Yeah,
like it's both.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
But yeah, these they had talked about on I guess it was Friday. I was texting you.
Yeah.
And about watching this press conference, and like I watched it, and while he was talking about, because he had alluded like the day before
that I'm going away for a while or something.
Yeah, like and standing in front of a bunch of Whirlpool boxes. I think he was in Cleveland when he did that, if I'm not mistaken, and the FBI raided Cleveland offices for it was like a Ukrainian company.
There's something coming down the hatch with all this Pfizer Warren abuse stuff. There's got to be some things coming down the hatch, coming down the line.
Yeah,
it has to be.
I agree, and I think all at the same time, I think that the president kind of knows that there's a good chance he's going to lose this election. I'm not sure how accurate that is, because there's also a good chance he's going to win this election. You know why? Because it's 2020 and nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense at all.
Like why would Lebanon store 5.5 million pounds of highly volatile fertilizer on open dock for 5 years in a row and not do anything about it?
Nothing suspicious there. It just happens. Oh man, I wonder. I have no data to back this up. This is again with my belief of like clones. Yeah. It's like I don't have any good arguments for clones at all.
They'll kill him and come like I was like, what would I say to that? It's like you think they're going to kill the president and have his clone? I can't. How do you approach that?
Like, I mean, my mind is going there because it's like, well, it's 2020. Nothing's going to make sense. So what if they took a note from North Korea and fake the president's death? And then, like 10 days later or something, just as like some masturbatory big dick motion to the QAnon bandwagoneers out there, he comes back because he's a fucking game show host.
Yeah,
and
he couldn't stay quiet on Twitter for 2 days, so don't worry about that.
M. Night Shyamalan has been the director of the interior.
He's in control of everything. In a twist. Fucking Trump gets assassinated, and then like
the aliens show up.
The aliens show up, and Trump like baby steps, waddles down the incline like he does because he apparently can't walk downstairs.
And then 2 more Trumps come out.
Then you're like, what the fuck? And then like a whole army of Trumps walks out, and like the aliens are fucking Trumps. the coastal elite cities can just erupt into flames. The Alpha Trump starts hovering. And like a T Jesus Christ pose floating across the crowd of MAGA wearing hat, Trump flag waving supporters. People are starting to cry.
All I'm saying is it's not outside the realm of not only possibility, but plausibility. It's 2020. Nothing makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
But some of these things, to the point, this is from the Daily Caller. I don't know how left or right they lean.
Daily Caller is Ben Shapiro's place.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, that's Daily Wire.
Daily Wire. Daily Caller is it's right leaning.
Lovely.
Excuse me.
But Trump's first order seeks to establish a payroll tax cut holiday from August 1st through the end of the year. The second is about the federal moratorium on evictions. The third is a $400 per week addition to the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. And the fourth is relief for student loan payments and interest rate. Said those are what was signed. But during the press conference, he talked about these four things, and then he talked about.
I'm listening. I dropped something.
Oh, he talked about two other pieces of legislation, I guess executive orders, whatever the term is, that he was going to sign because he was tired of waiting for the Democrats to not include all of this. And I agree with the president on this, on some of the stuff that they're trying to include that were parts of the Green New Deal that they were trying to include under the guise of environmentalism, where it's like, this has nothing to do with environmentalism. This has nothing to do with this coronavirus relief or anything like that. And by gum, like, somebody needs to take fucking action with something.
Well,
and the other two that he mentioned was that he was going to be signing an executive order for all insurance companies must cover all pre-existing conditions for all customers, and that all drug companies, that they can only charge Americans as much as they charge their foreign customers for the drug prices, because we've been, like, our meds are so expensive, like, not because of one reason, but this is one of the what would you call it, cornerstones of why, like, our health industry can be better, right? And in particular, this is something that Big Pharma has, like, rooted in our way of life. Like, meds are so fucking expensive, man, but they won't be for the rest of the world, because the rest of the world has legislation in place to where they can't charge. These American companies can't charge what they want in those companies, so they would rather bite the bullet, just have their product be sold there, right? But nothing is in place here locally for that.
Well, that pill that they're going to sell, I mean, yeah, there's research on that type of stuff, but, like, they could sell 30 pills, and those pills cost $5 each, and have a dollar profit margin on it, and they'd still rake in billions a year. They don't change anything. The other thing about the medicines is, like, people don't realize is, like, we get all the good stuff usually first. Like, there's things for certain treatments for certain diseases that we can get they can't get in Canada. They can be good or bad. It could be, that it's not really proven. Canada think it's weird. Canada's real weird about, like, stuff like that. I know, like, there's certain spray programs we can't be on. We have to be on if we want to sell fruit to Canada. But I digress. Is to speak of the executive orders. There's a good argument how legal they are, and we're starting to see that in increased years. I mean, because if it wasn't for executive orders, sometimes shit just would not get fucking done. And I don't know how legal the legal what's the word I'm looking for? How legal idiot. The legality of him doing those things are, but, like, the Democrats wanted to play chicken with the American people, and they're not, like, I'm not saying it's all the Democrats' fault, because the Republicans have done the same shit in the past.
They have, but all that aside, there's some serious shit going on.
Yeah,
and
they're wanting to cram in, like, pet projects and stuff in a very important bill. It's to, I think, if whatever, side of the aisle you're on, where you think Trump is an idiot or he's a genius, like, he's pretty good at painting them in a fucking corner. Because I think he's almost he's wanting to sign a bill for anything, and the Democrats keep walking away from the table and all that type of shit.
Yeah. What's interesting about some of these bills and proposed measures is that they're progressive ideals. And there was something I had posted. I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was like Super Tuesday or something like that. But it was like hashtag fuck the DNC, Dem exit, like all that. But it was along the lines of like, I don't care who endorses Joe Biden, I'm not voting for him. And I had mentioned something there about I would not surprise me, because I had seen Jimmy Dore make a talking point on Trump extending not just an olive branch to the progressives, but being like, hey, these folks are doing nothing for you, and if you want that, if that's what the population wants, then we can do it and not have. You don't want a monopoly, right?
Yeah.
So like this idea of socialism, the altruistic aspects of it, like I totally get, and yeah, I do think social programs are beneficial. But the government should not be in control of those. And whenever we allow bureaucrats to take control of that for too long, that's when you start seeing like these things like ghettos. And you start seeing cities where policing is done differently, where they're either going to under or over police a neighborhood based on whatever reason the bureaucrats in power at that time see fit. Now, because America's set up with all these like microcosms of kingdoms, essentially, like you don't have something, thank God, like what's happening like in the West Coast happen everywhere. Because like if that was happening here, you'd have a bunch of hood and redneck dudes standing outside every piece of property making sure nothing got fucked with. Because everybody down here is packing fucking heat. But
it's real funny. You see these Antifa douches like fucking go in the residential neighborhoods, and they don't stay there very long because people come out with guns and like, no, go shoot, go play in the street, literally.
Dude, you see the one? It's a Crip somewhere in the Los Angeles area where this white kid is, you know, like shouting Black Lives Matter and like breaking shit, and this fucking Crip comes out like blue on and everything, like talking about I'll beat your white ass right now, get the fuck out of this neighborhood. Yeah, like this is not your neighborhood. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm. And people don't realize. I thought people see it. Maybe I see it differently. Like you have people out there screaming about like white privilege and white supremacy, and they're doing things that people who are white supremacists do.
Yeah, the irony, man.
The irony of it.
Like, I'll try to make the talking point of the Wilmington insurrection and, like, what the Democrats sponsored with the white nationalists there. So the white nationalist idea of white supremacy was that because they had that power, they were then going to, they tied in eugenics with it, right? Yeah. They wanted to ethnically cleanse the power structures in their town, because they couldn't do it all politically, because you still had black business owners. They did the same thing, the Democrats in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, with Black Wall Street in was it the Greenwood neighborhood or whatnot? It was like 100 years ago.
Rosewood, that was the name of the movie that's based on.
Was it?
Yeah, Rosewood.
We had to watch it in history class. I can't remember it. But anywho, so like I don't think this power structure has really changed all that much, and I think stuff on the right is, while definitely corrupt, like it's all corrupt. It has to be corrupt in order to operate. It's a fucking chess game, man. It's you don't, as far as I'm convinced, you don't want globalism, because cartoons, comic books, entertainment, the brainwashing that it gave me, I've broken through most of it, but some ideals that still resonate with me is you don't want somebody controlling the world.
Well, no, that was the whole thing about Brexit. It's like it got increasingly where like the UK being like a sovereign nation or whatever, you've got people in the European Union telling them like what works in France isn't going to work in here. It's like that type of, like, wherever they decide the world government's going to be stationed at, I say Brussels. Like, what works in Brussels isn't going to work in fucking Valdosta, Georgia. Like,
no, what works in Manhattan isn't going to work in fucking Florida.
no.
Like, so, but people, I think they get. I think it kind of sucks because, like I've never, like, been, like I like politics, but yet I've never found myself to be, like, an ideologue of, like, much of anything. I was when I was younger, but then, like, I started...
Everybody is, though.
Yeah, but then I started rebelling, like, against certain things whenever I would learn something. And then I got older, and most people, they didn't want to learn any further.
A lot of people, like, I'll give you, for example, like, whenever, like, I was out of high school, you know, I drive back and forth to go to SGM, I go to GMC to go to school. And, you know, I always liked talk radio, but never had exposure to it. And, like, you know, back in, you know, early 2000s, 105.9 was a conservative talk radio station. You had Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Michael Savage, and that's what I listened to all the time. So that was the only thing I was consuming.
Right.
So I was a very much, you know, conservative radio Republican. And then, like, when people... That's the only thing. It's really easy and comforting. You don't have to think. You just take other people's opinions as your own, and you move on. But then, like, what broke it off for me was, like, you have these people on radio screaming about, like, liberty and individual freedom and, you know, all these American values, but two people who are the same sex can't get married.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you kind of think, it's like, if you're all about individual liberty and freedom to do what you want the government out of everything, but you don't want the government in this thing because it goes against whatever your religious values are. That's what kind of unplugged me from that narrative. And then, like, you just kind of realize it's all bullshit and all posturing. It's all marketing trying to sell an opinion and make money.
The to your point, there was someone that had argued for that was pro DNC, right?
Yeah.
And they were stating that, well, the principles of, like, individual liberty and, like, being able to vote and everything, like, being applied to everybody, like, those are democratic principles. And I'm like, I 100% agree. However, there's an asterisk that was on that for the Democrats, and that was for white people. Like, that was, like, what it was. Whenever you had the split pre-Civil War of the Democrat that allowed Abraham Lincoln to take the presidency, is you had a split between the Northern Democrats that believe with Western expansion that states' rights should decide slavery. Slavery is still cool, but states' rights should be able to decide whether or not they want it in the economic part of it, in the market itself in those states. And the Southern Democrats wanted it by default in Western expansion to incorporate slavery.
Weird thing to think that, like, 3 grandmas ago, like, people could own people and it was okay.
Yeah, it's fucking maddening.
And then you got people that, even in my own family, that come up and try to, like, argue for the Confederate flags. Like, no, they're taking down our history. I'm like, do you want that? Is that history you want me? I mean, I'm just as, like, I have a lot of Republican values and conservative values, but, like, you gotta think, is that the history you want to remember? You can remember the Confederate War and, like, have like statues and conversations about that, but it can't be Confederate generals.
Well, you shouldn't let those become icons for the notion of autonomy from the government. That's not what the Confederate flag represents, and that's a lot of times the argument that will try to be made. Yeah. The Confederate flag is literally a symbol that was crafted to showcase the right to have people as property, and the government not to infringe on that right.
No, Cole. It's about states' rights and economics. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like an argument a loser makes, right?
I had a long text chain with my nephew because he put some stuff on his Instagram, and he's a brilliant kid, smart, loves debate, loves art. Like, he's going to be a lawyer. Yeah. So, and it was hard to, like, get into, like, I was like, listen, you're in the age of the internet and cancel culture. Anything you put on your social media will be remembered.
Oh yeah.
And I said, you think that because it's on your story, it's going to go away? I said, it goes away. That's on a server somewhere that's got your name attached to it. I said, take that down. And then he try to get like about states' rights. I'm like, listen, it's states' rights to do. You know the argument. It's not. It wasn't about slavery. It was about X, Y, and Z. It's like states' rights to do what? Well, no, states' economic rights to do what?
Yeah. It's
like own people as property for economic gain.
Yeah.
That's what it was about.
Yeah, that's evil.
And then
that's antithetical to the horrible irony that it is of like the founding fathers, like with the Declaration of Independence, that like of individual sovereignty and the right to pursue happiness. Yet they like not all of them, but majority of them were taught also believed in people as property, right?
Yeah.
So however, the sins of the founding fathers are not the documents themselves. So in order to play the game that was set up, right? This was set up as in order to play this like grand 4D chess of nations, right? Of empires. America was set up as a way to sort of have autonomy from this Roman banking cartel and the British banking cartel as well, right? So it was outside of it. So the founding fathers set up these principles that they were like, okay, so we have right now the ability to set up a game of ourselves, of like a land of laws and of rights that are like outlined, and we'll make it to where the rights are not outlined by us sitting in the government.
They're divine.
Exactly. So they cannot be challenged. So that's fucking brilliant, right? And it worked out. Like it worked out because we defeated the ideology of people as property. It's not something that if you want change to happen, it's something that like true change. It's going to be incremental. Else, it's going to be whenever you have rapid change like that, dramatic change. That's an explosion, right?
Yep.
Like I mean, like just as. If you're talking physically, that's what it is. That's not desirable. But as an empire, the American empire, we have over time been shrugging off these wicked ideologies. However, at the same time, we kind of turn a blind eye to other wickedness because of our own personal ideologies. So, i.e., you have a lot of folks on the right that will look at a weird opposite ends of the spectrum, but fundamental Wahhabism, and they'll classify that as all Muslims, right?
Like you say.
Yeah, and then they'll look at anything that encourages pedoculture or normalizing MAPS, right? As the LGBTQ movement, right? Whilst on the other side, you'll have them that look at communism, where it takes Marxist ideology and says that, you know how you run a really tight-knit small community, we're going to apply that federally, and we're going to audit it to make sure that everybody has the same equitable amount of suffering that everybody has, but you'll have a purpose, and we'll define your purpose for you.
Yep.
We'll tell you how to worship, who you, and like it's all the same. It's the same thing as the National Socialists, the Nazis. That like they were left wing that took a right wing ideology and applied it to left wing governance. That's why the Marxists and the Nazis quarreled against each other in what was it, the brown shirt and red shirt quarrels or whatnot. Like that, they make it seem like it's everything is so polarizing and dichotomic, to where anything that is outside of your own personal ideals has to be the evil, like whatever the evil is. And there's a lot of ideologues.
I mean, that's religious dogma. That's really what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But they'll take scientism and they'll think that it's not religious dogma just because they're atheists. They're like, well, we believe in science. It's like, well, I mean, bro, if you sat down with me in a room for like 2 hours or so, you would either get really triggered or have a really profound conversation, because we can talk about the difference.
The thing about science is like you have people like that they want to science, and this is me being a fucking idiot.
It's okay, I'm an idiot genius myself. So.
Typically, science is like eventually will come to what the truth of the fact and truth of what something is, right? It gets usually gets settled.
And something you can use a scientific method and have you can repeat the observations, right?
Yeah.
And like that's
logically, eventually you'll get the same result. It'll be
right.
Can settle on it, that's a fact.
Right. So,
but you have people that like.
There's people that won't even acknowledge certain things at all. Where it's like, well, okay, bro. Well, that's a theory, and it's actually never been proven that the sun is the center of our solar system. It's just this old theory that we use to counter another system, and we were taught one as a generation.
Let's say that is true, but like that doesn't really change your reality on Earth. Like if somebody walked in this room, every few people felt, hey, listen, the Earth is the center of the universe. Everything revolves around us. I'd be like, I got rent to do fucking Monday. What the fuck do you want me to do?
Like that's kind of my point with it. It's
it doesn't change my world. Like,
not to that like aspect. It's just something else to be like, okay, well now like I have this perspective to still move about and do what I have to. It's kind of like Andrew Schultz, the comedian, talked about.
I love his fucking videos he does every week.
Oh, they're fantastic. And very well done.
Do you have glue on this chair? What the hell? Like my clothes are sticking to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoops. No, Andrew Schultz. No, his they're really punny and like in a quick format because he's like like northeastern like talking. He talks really fast.
Well,
you got a fast delivery, and you're gonna get the joke really quick.
How he made his bones is like he tried to put it like specials and stuff, and like he just couldn't. They would never like get traction. But what he started doing is he started doing his specials and cutting them up in like 9-minute clips on YouTube. And he was on Joey Diaz's podcast. Something like, I have to earn your time. He said, and they were like the metrics on like a Netflix special. About 25 minutes of a 45-minute special, people will cut out and go away. Then they'll come back to it. And that's why his videos, he gets in there, he gets the point, he makes some good puns, and they're entertaining and funny and educational.
Yeah.
So like he's a master of that that medium because that's how he came up. Was like he would put his specials on YouTube and dice them up in clips, and that's how he got to where he is now.
Yeah.
Really smart.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy it. But he was talking with Joe Rogan about it, and Joe Rogan was talking about he used the R word with flat earthers, and Andrew Schultz was like, all right, so let's say that the Earth is flat. So what?
Yeah.
Like, so what? I still gotta fucking pay taxes.
Yeah.
I still gotta go to work. It's like, yeah, exactly. So what? Like, but the thing that gets me is that like people that they'll get so triggered like I've looked into it. It's like, why are you so upset? And clearly you have not looked into it.
Like I think your idea that the Earth might be flat is a fucking ridiculous notion, but it's like I don't care enough that you think that to like want to change your opinion on it. Because it doesn't like do anything for me to. I mean, you're allowed to believe what you want to believe. You're not out like hurting anybody. I mean, what's it matter?
Well, plus I don't even know if it is.
Yeah, like it's an idea. Like,
yeah, I think it's fascinating. Like that's my whole thing is like well, what if it is?
Now, like
what if it is, and that like some things we can't understand because we dismiss about like the old world. It's like that's ridiculous. What if we're wrong? Like what if we're wrong? Well, I would much rather face that dilemma than to just sort of paint myself in a corner. It goes back to like talking about like the first time someone who's devoutly religious, like fundamentally religious, and then they come into an atheistic argument that produces a paradox for God's existence, right?
Yeah.
And like that, they don't know what to do with it. So like they've
never let their mind wander far enough to find that paradox.
Yeah. So my whole, I think, current set on like tying this in with scientism is that we don't have the means to question the observations or like test anything, and we should definitely take that into consideration. Now, as far as like the flat Earth arguments, there are a large amount of very smart people online that have debates about this a fair amount, and they're quite compelling. And again, like it ties in with like old world stuff, which I find like fascinating anyway. And plus it also questions the authority of Rome. So like me growing up in Catholic school, it like kind of like.
Was there ever a priest like any of the churches you went to that was like accused of touching kids?
No, thank God. The first one, I was 7 years old whenever my dad, he came back from the Gulf War.
Saw some shit.
Yeah, he was in Operation Desert Storm, and he told my mom he wanted to be Catholic. And
what do I Catholic?
I believe, I can't speak for him, but I believe it was because he probably grew up Protestant.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll see what the other side of
not
it.
Very like we're here on Sunday. Fuck off the rest of the week.
Well, it's not really the protest movement.
No.
And then you look at some of the weirder. Hang on 1 second. I gotta wet my whistle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, what were we just talking about? Some of the weirder
Protestant religions.
Oh yeah. Was it Calvinism? Is one where it's like.
I'll make some more too.
Oh, okay. It's like everything is predetermined. Like.
It's all fake.
Yeah. There is no such thing as free will. That whenever bad shit happens, chaos and things like that, well, it had to happen either through something that was already predetermined or through God's will itself. And then after you die, there's nothing. Like, it's just, it's like how it was before you were born, and you can't remember it.
It's dark, and then there's light, and there's dark.
Yeah, like that's what it is. Kind of a.
Why is your water so cloudy?
It's well water. It is. It's from the earth itself.
Well, I hope so.
It's not that cloudy though. Just gotta let it settle for a second.
Yeah. All the minerals.
Well, it's not being pumped full of lithium and from a city somewhere. So.
Yeah, did you see they're talking about like trying to put lithium in the water in some cities?
Yeah. It's 2020. Nothing makes sense. All these fucking like conspiracy stuff that people are just like like there's documents now that come out. They're training documents about flight patterns, and they use an azimuthal equidistant projection map. So an azimuthal equidistant projection map is a top-down.
Yeah. So
imagine if you're looking at the North Pole from like a bullseye on a dartboard.
Yeah.
So North Pole's in the middle, and then everything else is spread out, and it works. It's an old map that goes back
That's
to.
when they show that like you can show the plate tectonics and everything going back together. I've seen another map talking about where they show when you look at it from like North Pole top down that through the plate tectonics you can show how the Earth has moved from Pangea. So it's kind of it makes more sense logically.
Yeah, like fault lines make more sense. Flight paths make a lot more sense because you'll see where we think on this globular model that you like the plane is being told it travels like in the southern hemisphere over the Pacific Ocean, and we think it's going there, but then it's actually by Alaska, and you can't. If you told people that in mid-flight that's where you're by, they would like probably panic because they'd be like, Alaska, what the fuck are we?
There's bears there.
Why are we this far north? I don't understand. We were in New Zealand, now we're in Alaska. But on like an azimuthal projection, it's a straight line. Like it's a straight line. So I think there's some arguments that like they have that are legit that I can't test. But for me to blindly agree and say that, yeah, you know what, like what I was taught when I was younger, that's I'm just strung out too far down the rabbit hole, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't do that. I don't believe that's true, you know. And when I look at the just certain things within, like, why did we all know who Einstein is, right? Like we were that it became a colloquialism to refer to somebody that was intelligent, like, and even in a smart ass manner, like, okay, Einstein, you know what I mean?
You shouldn't wonder like why certain things from now 100 years ago have stuck for so long as podiums, or however you want to say. People like Einstein is like, you know, like you say Einstein thinks somebody's very smart or intelligent or whatever,
Right.
And this might be a failure of education, but the only thing I ever know he ever fucking done was eat whatever the fucking thing.
I can see. There's a couple of YouTube videos you can watch where people they quote unquote debunk it. They're not debunking it. They are debunking it, but not in the what. It's not like Alex Jones is manning the wheel, being like we're debunked it.
This is a person who works in he's a stocker at a grocery store trying to like explain complex mathematical theory. And the fucked up thing is a lot of people doing these videos on YouTube and stuff. They don't. I've watched a few of them. They don't have enough of the counter argument and understand enough to actually make their counter argument. They're just they found somebody, I'll just say like David Icke or somebody, some conspiracy theorist, and that's what they've adopted, and that's what they're going to believe.
Yeah,
and they've adopted that dogma that the world is flat, and then we're all being lied to. And like
he actually has never tied himself at all with the flat Earth.
No, I'm just saying.
I know you're using an example. I'm just saying just to
you set the record straight.
Well, just because like for people who don't know like who David Icke is, like David Icke is most famous for the reptilian shapeshifter idea.
Behold the Pale Horse and read it.
Of the Bill Cooper book. Yeah. I got my brother that book. He started talking about some like conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
Like probably about 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And he's always been into like aliens, and like most people that like are into UFOs, aliens, they don't understand. They're like, hey man, that's a conspiracy like genre, you know, like it's kind of like music where it's like no, I don't like hip hop. It's like, bro, have you listened to anything by Outkast?
Yeah,
it'll blow your fucking socks off, bro. Like music is awesome. Like I'm telling you, Conway Twitty is not the GOAT.
No,
he's
like, you know, you start with Outkast and you put him in like and give him some immortal technique, a couple of.
Man, he's definitely furthered.
He is
my descent down to down rabbit holes and whatnot.
He's I've listened to Revolution 1 and 2. That's probably, not that I'm a rap connoisseur, but that's definitely my top 10.
Volume 2 is I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I did the there's that trend on Facebook where it's like don't explain your reasons why, just post 10 albums. I was like,
we're trying to teach the algorithms how to sell to you.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weak. I want to write like album reviews. Like I think that's
I remember you went through that phase.
Yeah. I like doing that. And some of them like man, I was trying to read one of them. I was reading the one about Bill Withers even before he died, and like I couldn't get through I was trying to record him, and like I couldn't get through the Bill Withers one. I kept like choking up. And I was like,
it live at Carnegie Hall?
Yeah, man.
That's on my like cooking chilling playlist.
It's so fucking good, dude.
Man, he's like I know you had a while you were super into him, but like I turned that out on while I was like cooking or cleaning or whatever, and just like there are people that come along every so often that like that's what they were put on earth to do, and he was put on earth to sing, and like.
And he wrote those songs.
Yeah, those songs like that was his purpose on earth. Like that's what he was meant to do.
Bill Withers was awesome because he got into music late in the game. He was in the Navy, and he spent some time in Japan in the Navy. And then he came back. I believe he was in the L.A. area, if I'm not mistaken. But he was, I think.
He got in a dispute.
He was 30. Well, he was like 30 or 31. And he was doing like open mics, and he kept having record execs that come up and be like, hey man, we want to turn you into this, and he's like, well, I got a pretty good job working at the airport.
Yeah,
he's like, and I kind of want to do what I want to do with my music.
That drives people like in corporate world fucking crazy.
Yeah,
because they can't control you, they can't tell you what to do, they can't make money off of you. That drives them fucking crazy.
So he got I want to say maybe it was Stax who he signed with. I could be wrong on that. Fact check me.
I'm not gonna fact.
But I know, I'm just saying. But he so in 71 or 72 he put out Just As I Am, and he his producer that he wanted to work with was T-Bone Burritt. He's like a country western producer. That's who Bill Withers wanted to produce his first album. That's who he worked with. And his second album, Still Bill, he brought in the 103rd Street Watts Band. The only song I know they did that is not Bill Withers is because NWA sampled it, that Express Yourself.
Yeah.
That's 103rd Street Watts Band. But they were on Still Bill, and like that was his second album. That album fucking rips, dude. Like that is like it's not long. It's only like 10 songs.
You know what's so crazy? Like, you know, the technology we have for music now. Like they did that shit on magnetic tape, and like yeah, like it's insane.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And even before that, they used the gramophone. I think it was the horn.
Yeah, you talking about that, yeah.
Yeah. So if back in the day, if you wanted to record a big band song, you would in your little live room, your studio rooms. You know, so imagine like a square room, like a padded party room, right? And you get all the band tucked in one corner, with all the brass instruments in the back. Then you have all the string and woodwinds sit in front.
Yeah.
And then you have the gramophone in the corner, and then you would have the singer standing right in front of the gramophone while the band would just blast behind them. Because what it would do, the sound vibrations would travel, and it takes the acoustic energy of the sound, like the voice, right? Goes through the gramophone where it converts it into magnetic energy, right? And then it's putting it onto a platter, right? And the platter is being a groove carved into it. So that's what like you would go directly onto like the platter that they would make the record out of from like that platter. And then Bing Crosby invested in magnetic tape in post-World War II because we got it from the Germans, the German scientists. And that's why Bing Crosby became a big celebrity, was because he became the first recording star because it was his business venture. So he's going to be the face of it, let me tell you. Bing Crosby.
It's great music too now. Don't
Bing.
Yeah. And that era of music like is, I don't know why, but like me and my wife both like I guess kind of romanticize that era. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, like Mad Men, Marvelous Miss Maisel. That's a fucking mouthful. The shows in that, movies that era, like The Notebook, stuff like that. Like I don't know what it is about the era, but I just like love. It just, I guess shit seems so fucking simple. You know what I mean?
Well, it's something that you'll never get to experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I wonder, because like right now we're seeing what the 21st century is going to be
I don't like
it.
I don't like it at all.
But we're some of those last folks that are going to be remembered. You know, I mean, shit, like most of my family, my relatives are like baby boomers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, our parents are boomers. Like,
yeah.
I love my mom and dad definitely. They're probably the worst generations ever been produced. God bless them. But I mean,
well, they did have the civil rights era.
Okay, I'll give them a little credit. I mean, yeah, they did civil rights era. They did do one thing right.
It's definitely a thumbs up on that. But
just like back then, thinking about like the technology they had, like having to sing into a fucking tin horn that recorded in a corner. But at the same time, you didn't have to worry about fucking who was going to like talk shit on you on fucking Twitter. There wasn't 24/7 news cycle. Like you got to go on and live your life without. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have their own problems or what interruption. Like it's just everything just seems simpler.
Social media has enabled everyone to see what being a celebrity should be like in their mind.
Fucking, I wouldn't want it.
Nah. No, I'd rather like create. You know what I mean? Like I'm all about that. And
you about that life?
I am about that life. I'm not about whatchamacallit. I'm glad I don't have to relive my adolescence again. I hope I don't get reincarnated. I hope I can ascend. You know what I mean? And not have to.
I sometimes wonder what would be the best option, to ascend to whatever the next plane is and live in that, or to start over. Because, like, man, life's got its ups and downs. But, like, it's fucking great being a person and being alive. Like,
fantastic.
Even the highs and the lows. Like, the lows make up for the highs. I mean, the highs make up for the lows and stuff like that. And that's, you know, experiencing love and good food and music and friendship and fucking entertainment, video games, like being able to walk, like, a nice fucking fall or spring day, like, that makes up for all the shitty stuff. And, like, you know, whatever, we have no idea what the next thing is, but, like, what if none of that is there? Like, is that really something you want to ascend to?
Well, a friend of mine said that either way they won't be disappointed.
You're gone. What the fuck you do? I mean, like, you don't have an option to stay.
Yeah. I don't know, like, because, like, again, like, I've had, like, profound religious experiences through psychedelics that sort of shook my notion of what I know and what I think I am, like, to its fucking core. And show me that, like, there's something else that exists that we can't perceive. And like, even like delving into like the world of like conspiracies and whatnot, particularly like the old world shit, you know, where it's like you see this stuff where it's like kind of tied to the mud flood conspiracy or idea, where it's like somewhere there was this ancient culture of Tartarians that they tapped into like some sort of magnetic energy. I would imagine the moon's orbit, right? What keeps it going around, and have what Tesla talked about of 100% endless energy, because with every orbit you get something essentially as a capacitor to store, and you convert magnetic energy into whatever. Same way you do with acoustic energy in the gramophone, right? You convert energy to another type of energy. This microphone, it has to have 48 volts running through it. Other microphones, they're dynamic microphones. They do not have to. What it does, it takes acoustic, electric, and magnetic energy, and it converts the signal and then runs that signal back through a speaker to acoustic energy.
Well, like, so you look at a fucking speaker, like, my dumb ass, I met my cousin's working out this week, and he's got literally a truck, like, speaker system in the gym that, like, bumps and bumps and shit. And I'm, like, taking a break while he's doing this. I'm looking at the speakers, and, like, they're thumping, doing it. I'm like, that is a magnet that is sending electricity through it, and my ears pick that up as music.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that fucking moment? I've had this thought before. It's like, if the fucking world collapsed, I'm done. I don't know how to fucking rebuild any of this shit. Like, the music is gone, electricity's gone, the internet's gone. Like, no one knows how this shit works. It's not smart enough to rebuild it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those weird things, like the thin veneer of civilization as it is.
I think that's kind of what you saw in Seattle, like the Chaz, or whatnot.
They had that fucking brilliant experiment in self-governance.
Yeah, they took essentially American tyranny and just made it much worse and much more like impactful. They suspended habeas corpus like right away.
The most disgusting thing about that is how the media did not report on it. Like,
no, well, and I'll try to like tell like some of my friends, like I'll even like pray to be like just keep them waking up, to be like, hey man, I know you guys aren't like right wing, I know you guys aren't left wing, but you should really look at all the news sources from an independent source that's not tied to them, and like form your own opinions. Because if all you're doing is just like I'm sorry, I don't trust CNN for shit. Now,
you shouldn't trust any news corporation whose job is to make money.
You should present your biases and be honest about your biases. Like that's how a news station should operate.
That's why I give credit to Fox News and MSNBC, because when you go to those things, I'm getting a right-wing bias, I'm getting a left-wing bias. But you go to CNN, they try to act like they're the center, and they are so clearly not the fucking center.
No, it's a reality television show set in a newsroom.
That's a good way to put it.
Like, that's how I view CNN. But yeah, man, like it's infuriating. And I would see, like, I've got friends that are in Portland that they are not about the fringe there in Portland is on top of like whatever left-wing ideologues are doing against the federal courthouse. There's also like the notion of the Proud Boys that are there, and they're also like one of these fringe groups on like the horseshoe political spectrum that shows up to just like cause chaos and whatnot. But Sam Tripoli had talked about, I hadn't looked it up before we got started, but Portland, aside from being a mostly white city, didn't allow black people in until like the 1920s. Like it was like that white.
I don't know how places like that are going to survive at the rate they're going.
I don't think they are, man. I think what we're gonna see is did you see this thing in Oklahoma where they now say that the eastern half of Oklahoma is not Oklahoma anymore?
Oh, you talking about the whole reservation thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is now that the tribe there does not own half of Oklahoma. Their police force has jurisdiction in half of Oklahoma.
Well, I mean, but point being that like Oklahoma state law is not applicable there. So federal law is, but the state law is not. So, and I think Gorsuch was one of the guys. That guy's like, he's one of the Trump appointed justices.
Yeah.
He ruled also on the trans ruling recently.
There was a bunch of big rulings here in the last 6 months. Though.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal.
But I mean, what it seems to be is they argue constitutionality, or like, they're constitutionalists.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best. Just personally, I think it's the best ground to sort of play the game of political logic.
Well, it sets rules and boundaries.
Well, exactly, because you have to, again, if you're going to be able to change it, well, how are you going to be able to change it? Like, you have to work the system.
What makes things stable?
Yeah. Well, because things are going to get chaotic.
When you have people on the left now, because it's all because they're not in control. They're not appointing the judges. It's all they don't get to choose or have a say so, and they're wanting like they're wanting to like have term limits for judges, and I don't think that's something you want in your like lawmaking decisions. You need stability. Perhaps if you wouldn't play stupid fucking games during election years, you can get somebody in there that actually represents the will of the people, and you can make some really nice appointments for judges.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of like my whole thing is like, well, the DNC has all these talking points, but they're not doing anything about themselves. Like, was it the super PAC and super delegates and all that stuff? It's like, well, they're talking about they want to eliminate the electoral college in some places, but yet they don't want to have a popular vote for how their own nominees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's wild to me. And I used to be against the electoral college. I used to be in the notion of like, well, no, whoever gets the most votes should win. And you realize is that you can have ideally less than 20, I'd say even 10 cities that if they just dominate a particular political spectrum, and you can have these 10 kingdoms control the fate of the entire country. That's not good. That's not good. You want to have somebody that represents the most geographical area, because there's so many cultures and peoples and like microcosms of humanity in America. San Francisco does not represent my ideals at all as far as what a city should be like.
I mean, I don't think you'd want people having like feces floods at the ends of roads from all the homeless people.
No, I don't want people just shrugging off like two homeless people fucking in public in daylight outside of a hotel and just saying, well, they're allowed to be here. This their street too.
San Francisco's always been like that, though. It's always been I mean,
it wasn't whenever I went as I was a teenager. I think I was like 14.
Back in
whenever
the 80s,
I went,
like the gay district, it was not uncommon to see people.
I wasn't in the gay district in the 80s. I missed out on those days.
You missed the good old days. Let me tell you.
Those disco biscuits just don't exist anymore.
It was not. I was watching this documentary on Netflix, and they're talking about it wasn't uncommon to see two dudes just on their stoops, fucking in the gay neighborhood, and it was like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just this places like that.
That's different than.
I mean, whatever. If you want to have sex to do on your porch, I mean, it's America.
Yeah, like I've had sex with public before, so. But point being,
I don't think you want that on record.
Like this. That was a long time ago. I've definitely.
I think everybody has at some point in time.
Yeah. So I mean. But fuck. How do we get on there? We were just talking about before talking about San Francisco going as a teenager. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so I don't want how they do business in San Francisco being done in my town, like at all.
Those cities have the problems with like places like New York, San Francisco, LA, Portland, Seattle. All those places act as if they're the center of the world and everybody should act accordingly. But when you look at those places, like they have problems that we don't have here in Valdosta, Georgia, or Lakeland, Georgia. Like we don't have rampant homelessness. We don't have the murder rates. We don't have the crime. We don't have the drug problems.
We don't have the police scandal. And there are police scandals that are in Valdosta metropolitan area, but they're usually very publicly known, and usually those people that were in charge during that scandal, they are quickly gone shortly thereafter.
Another thing I don't get is like
there's still a couple scandals. There's only one I know in particular that's like still a scandal and nothing's gotten done, but it's because it's not connected with local police. It's connected with intelligence people.
What scandal is that?
The kid that got murdered at Lounge in the gym now.
Oh yeah. The KJ fellow.
Yeah.
KJ. No, was it KJ?
Yeah, that was KJ. Yeah, that was his name.
There's something. I mean, there's something fishy about that.
There was, man. The day it happened, there was an alert on social media I saw. I think it was from the Daily Times that talked about a kid had been murdered at Lowndes.
Yeah.
And then it changed to, well, no, kid was found dead. But the coroner hadn't showed up. And the coroner even had an article talking about that something fishy was going on because they ruled on this anytime an accidental death, let alone one at a school, happens, whether it was a murder or not, or suicide or not, the coroner has to come in, and he hadn't been made aware. And then he changed his tune shortly thereafter and said that, oh, no, actually everything was done according to the specs.
Somebody's kid who their parental units or something was connected, and they probably pulled some favors in.
Yeah, that's exactly how I viewed it as. And the sheriff at that time is no longer sheriff.
Was Prime? Prime?
Yeah. I know even, I think Anderson Cooper even came to town in all of his showboat and glory.
The thing about Anderson, man, is like he was like a legit journalist. Like he was in war zones and shit.
He was.
He's also a Rockefeller, so.
Yeah, it's Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, that's right.
Yeah, and it's kind of goes with what we were talking earlier about when you start seeing like all these celebrities and icons and famous names that are connected with this stuff, and a lot of folks are just like, well, it couldn't be that. I like them. And when you start like unpacking the data and actually looking at like how some of these folks are connected to stuff that like David Icke and his lizard theories aside, but that he has talked about, even Alex Jones has talked about, like all the Epstein stuff was like laughable, all the Pizzagate stuff was laughable. That like just a few years ago.
Yeah, and now like you cannot deny that Epstein ran a child sex trafficking ring for intelligence to compromise people. And that's it. And then that's the other thing people have to always realize, that his and Maxwell's goal was to be in as many circles as possible to fish out to fish out people who they might be able to manipulate. And just because they're in a party together, taking a picture together, it does not mean that person is exactly involved in what they're doing. Doesn't help their situation, but that was their whole goal, is to corrupt as many people as possible. There's a picture of her like running up to Mariah Carey on the red carpet to get a picture, and Mariah Carey is like, "Get the fuck off me!" Just pushes her away. Maxwell ran into Mariah Carey and did that.
Well,
and it's like
Mariah Carey was in the news recently talking about her sister, saying her mom had like satanic abuse to her and her sister. But that aside,
yeah.
Whatever she's got going on at home, I don't know. But Mariah, good for you for pushing that pedophile off of you.
But it's like you said, like, people laughed all this stuff away, and then Epstein goes to fucking jail, and the flat laws come out, and people are like, well, you know, it doesn't mean X, Y, and Z, and then, like, he's in a prison, and he gets fucking suicided, and everybody's like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait. This guy who has dirt on probably some of the most powerful people in the world was in jail under suicide watch, and he hung himself. So,
I had a couple of people that they would try to argue that well, technically it wasn't a suicide watch; it was a different kind of watch.
Fine, it was a suicide watch. He's the most valuable fucking prisoner in America.
That's an asset that you had in solitary, if I'm not mistaken, after they put him in with Thor or whoever that fucking corrupt cop.
Tony the fucking Titan, goddamn gorilla roaring to the fucking gills.
Dude, I've never seen arms that big on a person before.
He was a cop. I think he got arrested for like doing dirt and killing.
Yeah, he killed 4 people.
Jeff, this is your roommate, Tony. He's leaving 3 days. He's leaving 3 hours a day to go take his allotment of steroids and lift weights and come back to your cell.
Tony, watch after Jeff for us. Great. Yeah, but then like the cameras are turned off. The guys that were guarding the cell, like what? They took a nap or they were.
It's like, oh, what are you doing? I mean, pretty sure if you give those guys that were watching the sale another 5 or 6 years, you'll see a large sum of money deposited into their account if they make it 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Enjoy that money. Go ahead.
And that's not to say, like, you know, all this stuff. That's not to say that it's all fucking Trump's doings. Like that whole savior complex people have with Trump is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my biggest qualm with the QAnon stuff. It's like, all right, you stop dick riding the president for a second.
Yeah.
And take the same critical eye, again, turn it inward, just like the leftists.
There's a lot of videos and photos of him and Trump together in Miami and Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, during the '90s, they were buddy. It wasn't until after Epstein got busted, that seemingly when the friendship ended and Trump started working with this lawyer is based. I forget his name. He's based out of Miami, but he said that Trump was the only person that was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll talk to you. I'll give you all the info you need to know."
Yeah.
But it was post Epstein getting arrested. Whilst people like Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, they kept hanging out with this guy that was now a known, like in the books, like doing shady shit with underage girls.
Yep. You know, about QAnon, like, it was very fun to follow that at the start when like 16 was first. It's like, oh man, there's somebody on the inside. And they're doing it for fucking America. And then you realize that every prediction come out, oh, that person was wrong. And then they got increasingly like I told you before, it's like a college Republican's first like essay novel, essay for literature, like it's like Trump is like when it's off time he's digging into the fucking tunnels, getting the underground base where all the kids are hid at, or like, you know, he's fucking Hillary Clinton, like parachutes in like you fucking Bane style and like in the Air Force One and he breaks her neck and then like lands a plane safely and during this fucking Super Bowl or some shit. You know what I mean?
She comes back in her true form as an actual lizard.
Yeah. It's intoxicating because it gives you a little bit of sense. It seems like somebody's trying to give order to chaos.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, because you want the best in the world. You want to hope that there's some group that's powerful enough to
look after my interests that I can.
Yeah, will get their hands dirty and try to make the world a better place at the same time. Now, historically speaking, that doesn't happen often. Right.
No.
So,
typically the little man ends up getting crushed always.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think people right now they're sort of fetishizing the apocalypse a little bit.
Oh, we always have. Like everybody was obsessed with like the Mayan calendar and whatever Christian preacher says he knows when the world's going to end. Imagine that is for that guy. Like he builds this whole congregation of like, oh, the world's going to end. Fucking February 21st, 2017 or whatever, and like they're all at the congregation with their white suits on, like it's gonna happen. We're gonna see Jesus and Grandma, and then nothing fucking happens. What's that gotta feel like for him? Because probably in his head, in their heads, they really believe that.
Yeah.
So like, what
they committed their life to that. Ideologues, man. I just don't get it.
I mean, they should be a proper cult and like put on black tennis shoes and like kill themselves. That's like what they should have done. You can make it reality. I mean, you can make like that. They'd be the apocalypse for you, but not for the world at large.
Yeah. The idea I think of like the apocalypse, unless we're talking like some global catastrophe. But I mean, it's always happening somewhere. You know what I mean?
Oh, imagine like talking about Beirut. That is probably one of the most. I mean, that was an apocalypse.
No doubt, man. Like I saw.
You seen the wet people having their wedding that day, the wedding venue, the wedding, and I felt so sad for them people.
Yeah,
like, that was supposed to be the best day of their life, and like literally a small nuclear bomb went off in their harbor.
Yeah, like, there was somebody had posted in the one of the tinfoil hat discussions that I'm in. A story of screen capture of story of somebody that was there in Beirut and they're walking around at night at ground zero and just like all the bodies like they're just mangled like.
See, I didn't see any of
that. Like some of them are just like the whole top is gone. Yeah. Just gone and all is just mangled from the waist down.
I never.
And like all over the streets, like at night, like all over the highway and whatnot, like absolutely horrendous.
And that's people that were far enough away from the blast that just didn't fucking disintegrate them.
Yeah.
Or liquefy them.
Yeah.
So
it's fucking.
It's like the video I sent you the other day about the underground tunnels and stuff.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, well, hoping they're alive. I'm like, if anybody was anywhere near that, they're dead.
Gone.
They're gone. Like if they were under if they were under it, like the percussion from the fucking explosion is just they're going to be a grease spot on the concrete.
What you see what that did above the ground happened below the ground equally. You know what I mean? Like
the fucking hole it blew. The concrete the pier was sitting on. It blew a fucking 75-foot wide hole that's something like 80 foot deep or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah, the sea is now in it.
Yeah.
Like the earth is gone.
It's like, holy fuck. And that makes flowers grow.
Yeah. Like there were other fires, like 4 fires, like within a 24-hour period, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
there's one in Wuhan, one in
there was one in Wuhan,
Syria, maybe?
There was one in Wuhan. It was like a chemical processing warehouse facility building or something. There was one in North Korea. There was one at a food warehouse in the UAE, and one in Iraq. The one in Iraq was like their biggest market. So
you know what I wonder is if there's a way with whatever this underground system was and with whatever that explosion was, that if they had like these global pipelines set up or something, that some sort of shockwave or burst came through the whole thing.
I think you're reaching on that.
I mean, I think so too.
That probably needs one of your clone ideas. you can have that one, but like
me believing in clones is like the equivalent of like just a normal person like thinking about like aliens and UFOs.
Man, wouldn't it be like cool if like there were like aliens or something, man, from like Mars or some shit?
Man, let me tell you.
I know I saw one thing in the sky. It's probably a plane, but shit.
Me and Marty Jr. was out in the field the other night. And I ain't a praying man.
Yep.
But I seen this light come up, split open like a Y, but held together with this other light that was at the top and formed this pyramid-looking thing. And this triangle had red dots on it. They turned blue, and then they just rotated like that right behind the tree line. I looked at Murray J. He was already gone.
Man, I bet they are out there.
I bet they are. But like the what the Beirut thing, like okay, so in the overall conversation of believability and conspiracies and shit like that, you have a that fertilizer came from a Russian fertilizer magnate or what you want to call him, really rich Russian dude who went bankrupt. The Lebanon confiscated it because they got stuck at that port, and they just offloaded it into a fucking warehouse, right? So you have 5.5 million pounds of ammonium nitrate, which is highly explosive and volatile, sitting in an open air port and properly stored. And then you think your best option is to put a fireworks factory right next door to it, or warehouse or whatever, and not like across the yard from it. Literally wall to wall, they're connected, and then it catches on fire. So you could probably explain it away like, you know, kind of third world negligence type of bullshit. Or you can go, somebody knew there was a fireworks factory there. Somebody knew there was like literally a small nuke's worth of explosive fertilizer there. This is a nation that is hostile towards, you know, a certain other nation in the region that backs the opponent's terroristic, you know,
That's a good way to word it.
Organization. And it has done so for a long time. And this other nation has actually had strikes on this nation at certain areas. And you start to think like, you know, something like that is probably planned. Somebody probably planned for that fertilizer either to do something else with it. You mean to tell me a Russian billionaire wouldn't sell that amount of fertilizer to, you know, a nation that's known for building missiles and bombs for another hostile nation?
He's a businessman. He's trying to move his product.
Yeah. Yeah. He just happened to have it seized there, you know. So, and
it to be so skeptical,
yeah,
as to believe that the narrative is accurate.
Yeah.
People were believing that narrative was accurate within less than 24 hours. No investigation had even been done, and they're just like, well, we figured out what it is, and this is what happened. Like these are programs that they dish out like media does,
yeah,
in order to calm people, right? Because you give an explanation, and then as more develops, stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll tell you more. And then they plug some drug or something else for their sponsors.
Simicort. Polar pills. Are you depressed? Ask your doctor for this medication.
They'll have...
Do you have genital warts? I mean, I'm trying to see why this thing blew up. I don't need to worry about my genital warts right now. I have medication for that.
But it is though, like it's...
I've never watched a tragedy and thought, and have a Coke commercial going, hey, I need to get a Coke, I'm thirsty. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is like with some of these tragedies in 2020, you notice ads were really quick to respond. Like
during the Vegas shooting when the guy's mowing people down, CNN had to get it was so fucking terrible. Like it was literally just a white screen with I think it was Coke on it or some shit or whatever. Just generally speaking, it was a white screen trying to get everybody there to get the news report going, and it's just like an advertisement for whatever shit. Because then everybody's tuning in. Like, what, 300 people are dead in the middle of Las Vegas now?
Yeah.
From a random shooter?
Yeah, from a lone shooter.
From a lone shooter.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I will never believe. Like, you mean to tell me that there are extremes in that scenario? Either he was so lone wolf and alone that literally no one knew about it, and that's how them things work sometimes. Like, fly under the radar, planned it out, went and did it, or something was going on there, and some cover got blew, and then some shit went south. That's the two plausible scenarios. There's no middle ground. And the fact that the biggest mass shooting in American history happened, and like everybody's just kind of like shrugging. I don't know, man. He's fucking a lone wolf.
Well, at the same time, there was somebody. Yeah, there's somebody in court that had a court date that was tied to, I guess, that Benghazi scandal. I'm not too familiar with the Benghazi scandal. I know, like, right wing talk radio folks that like that's like their fucking covenant.
They thought that was the fucking silver dagger to Hillary's werewolf heart or some shit. I want to give people health care. Fucking Benghazi. Die, bitch.
It too Benghazi. But
the Benghazi thing, I don't think there's a conspiracy there. I think that was just fucking federal government being cavalier and not giving a shit. And
just being like, oh, sorry folks, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Later. But during the Las Vegas shooting, like there was a trial date that was whenever that happened. Whenever as a quick tangent, whenever Julian Assange had the WikiLeaks and the Podesta emails were out, the Pulse massacre happened within 24 hours. Again, like it clogs up a news cycle, with tragedies.
But also, the 4chan had a theory that I really liked, was that was there were two Saudi like there's so many fucking there's as many Saudi princes as there are teeth in my fucking head. So like, there were apparently two Saudi princes there, and they don't like each other, and there was like an arms deal that went south and all that type of shit, and then.
Well, the thing that irked me is like I had friends that were in Orlando. They still are in Orlando, and some of them are they're from here, but they're like they were doing shows in Orlando the night. One of them was at a show like next door, like when the Pulse massacre happened, like performing. Fuck. Yeah, but you listen to like the 911 tape of that guy, and he's clearly a religious zealot. Yeah. Like clearly a religious zealot, and they just sort of like ignored that altogether whenever they were reporting on it. And
it's always a gun issue when this shit happens.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the ideology. I noticed that as well with like now in the modern scope, like with the left wing quote unquote anarchism, like they're using terror in order to have lawlessness or authoritarian anarchy, which that's not what you want. That's mob rule. That's fucking dangerous. But the media, they'll they chalk it up as like, well, these are peaceful protesters. It's like, arson is not fucking peaceful, man. Like I've lost my home to arson before.
My favorite thing is a CNN walking through a basketball court, and like it's been a mostly peaceful protest. There's the fucking police. There's a building on fire right behind him. It's like, either you people don't give a shit enough because people are just going to buy whatever confirms their biases and makes them feel comfortable, that you're going to tell me it's a peaceful protest while there's a building on fire behind you. It's like it's like you want two realities to be true, and sometimes it just doesn't work that way.
No, it's not.
Well, mostly all the protests peaceful. Yeah, people assembled during the day. They marched. They spread COVID. They got their point across and they went home. So,
nights when they really spread COVID, because now you don't have the sun out.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you mean to tell me that people, marching 100,000 strong, screaming and hollering chants and stuff is not?
I'm saying it's not wise. It's not wise.
Ah, okay.
But I'm saying though, with the sun providing that much vitamin D, your susceptibility for it spreading is much lower than it would be at night, gathering in mass or
also, plus they say that
gathering in packed bars and clubs
instantly when it hits sunlight.
Yeah,
that's the. And I would say that You can't sit and tell me all this protest stuff did not cause the second wave we just saw. Well, on the backside of it, that's because all the fucking protesting is starting to die down.
Yeah. Well, people don't want to acknowledge it because they want to tie in ideological aspects with it to public health. And it's like, hey guys, duly noted the ambition.
Yeah.
This is not public health. This is public society. Like you're talking about social sciences and ideology and changing things ideologically. This has to happen over time. Get people you like elected into your local office.
That's the whole argument. Like, and that's, you have people who want to get there, hold a sign, and feel good and think they're doing something, but they're not doing anything. It's like they're just out there. They're essentially in a fucking rocket chair on the front porch, rocking back and forth. It's just something for them to fucking do.
Well, yeah, we fetishize protest culture.
Yeah. But that was my whole argument. If you think, okay, there's obviously problems with the policing, but getting out there and like holding a sign up is not legislation, it's not policy. You have to organize and elect people to office that will make the changes you want to see. Now, if you want to elect people to office and they defund the police and your fucking city turns into a fucking crime-ridden hellscape, then, well, that's what you voted for.
Yeah.
Enjoy the bed you're laying in.
Yeah.
But if you want to come with like a sensible thing, it's like, hey, you know, we do need to work. We need to attack the core root of what causes crime, which is poverty. We need to attack the core root of this police brutality, which is these are people who are untrained. Like you have to be a cop, you have to go to school for 800. You have to do 800 hours of training in school and shit. If you want to go cut hair, it's like 1,600.
Yeah.
So it's like, we need to reevaluate how we handle policing. We need to reevaluate how we handle poverty. And fucking AOC, God bless her airheaded ass, she had a good point. Like that, you know, we probably need to see about like rebuilding more affordable housing. Because she quoted some at like, we have not built new affordable housing in like 30 years.
In some areas, yeah, absolutely. I think you can get two birds stoned at once with this, right?
That's some potent shit.
You take people needing jobs. That's a big part of what poverty is that nobody has anything to do. On top of that, they can't earn money, and if all you do is just give them money, well, you still haven't given them something to do. People want purpose, right? A job gives people purpose. So you can create entry-level jobs at a government level for people that need to get off of government-dependent living and earn a living. And you can do that by, if you go in and I don't know if it would be gentrifying the neighborhoods, but if you build new affordable housing and you create jobs for it as well, you can help ensure that that community can prosper in the long run. What you don't want is you don't want to just throw money at a community and then just not offer them anything other than the paycheck, because you haven't given them anything to do. But you know what is there to do? Well, you can sell drugs. You can make a lot of money selling fucking drugs, and it gives you something to do.
Yeah.
You know? There used to be an art park in Albany that was like awesome because they had it right.
You go there and do like spray paint.
Yeah, that's where I first learned aerosol. And it was awesome because it was this area in the middle of downtown that like it was open to everybody. And like you could just go there and kids could like spray paint and tag anywhere, an open air park, you know?
Yeah.
And it gave kids something to do. Crime started dropping. And then you had the person that was running it moved, and then the person that took over it was like close to like 70 years old, and like they would open it like once a week and like not to the public. And it's like then the city was like, well, we don't really need it, so I think a brewery's there now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so we need more beer.
Yeah, more drugs. Yeah, like that's cool. That irks me about right wingers is that they don't call alcohol a drug. It's alcohol and drugs. It's like, no, that's a drug.
It's a drug. It changes your state. So yeah, it's a drug.
Yeah, it's also not readily available in nature.
Yeah,
you know.
You have to process it.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, I didn't make some wine this year. I haven't made none yet.
Dude, it's delicious, man. I don't even, you know,
well, I don't
fuck with alcohol, but I'll gladly take any wine.
I didn't do any blackberry wine. I might do if they're still doing peaches at Barney, I might go do peach wine this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Is that something you're gonna move into like eventually or anything?
Nah, I've got too much other shit to worry about. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like,
well, I mean, you mentioned like politics a while before. You ever thought about running, like in the autumn of your life?
Where did you get that I was gonna do politics from?
Yeah, there was something you mentioned. You're like, oh, this probably prevent me from running from office.
Oh, I just fucking being a smart ass. No, I'm not. Fuck that shit.
You could bring about some change.
The grand city of Lakeland. No,
that's where it starts, right?
Nah, I'm gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got all this farm shit I'm doing, but like I don't know if I'll get to a point. I'll just do this till I die. I don't know.
I'm at the point now where I'm thinking like 20 years from now, if I survive, right? And at that point, I'll be 56. And it's like, okay, clearly, party days are done. You know, like
I mean, you have to be a quitter.
But I mean, like I'm not like a partier anyway. But like at 56, like I want to have like something to show, you know, for like, and something that like I'm still working on and learning towards and doing with, because like I don't know what the world's gonna offer. Like,
you know, that's the thing. Like,
I just know that I like you, I'm not going to live in this apocalypse mentality and let it define like me or like my actions to that extent. Like I'm gonna live as a paranoid individual as I normally would.
Yeah.
You know,
Nothing changes.
No, well, I mean, not in that aspect. The only thing that changes is I get more people that are willing to talk to me now.
Well, people are like they're kind of I hate saying the word, but like waking up to like the world. Like you went through this like tit tat, like oh it's fucking Bush, and then all these stupid liberals, and then it was like you know Obama, all these Republicans, and these God and guns people, and then like the pendulum went back. And now we have Trump, and then people like kind of starting to like we're getting old enough, and the internet now exists. We can kind of see the TikTok now.
Yeah,
and you go wait a minute. You're like wait a minute. So we had Warlord Bush. And then we had Drone Strike Obama. And now we have whatever fucking Trump is. Like, you start seeing and you can go back and see the hypocrisy of some, like, politicians and stuff. And people are like, and that makes you kind of question their motives. And you start questioning their motives and you start looking at, like, alternative sources of information. And that may or may not confirm your biases on things.
Yeah.
But then it makes you start questioning things.
Well, it makes you question how much confirmation bias was going on beforehand. You know what I mean? Because like with me, I was doing a whole lot. I thought I knew everything. You know, I got over teenage thinking I know everything, and then I was an adult and like, I know it all. I didn't know shit. I still don't know shit.
No one will ever know everything proper to the amount you need to know things.
No, not to that regard.
Unless you have made that your life's work and you're studying for that.
I'll look at some of these folks that they are. Like a full-time because I mean like we do political analyses, but I mean like we're just people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We'll do it from an idiot's perspective.
Yeah. But like I'll look at like folks like Ben Shapiro and Jimmy Dore and Tim Pool and like they
Tim Dillon, people like that.
Yeah, and a lot of them are rather cynical or angry individuals, if not self-righteous in what they believe. And I mean that's fine, but like I think that kind of comes with it when you start like that becomes your life and your focus is the political world. Like it's always a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
And but at the same time it opens you up a lot more to possibilities as far as what's really going on. I think with what's going on with this Trump presidency is it's one giant psyop, and now it's like culminated right now into 2020 with as much confusion as possible.
I will tell you, getting closer to the election, it is going to get probably crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
They say that the investigation to the FISA abuse is almost over. So who knows what's going to shake down out of that. If you told me nothing would happen, I'm like, yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah. Nothing ever is going to happen to people who perpetuate fucking crimes against America. I mean, they just go on.
They have in our lifetime. You know what I mean? I think that's there's some guy who was talking about it was something similar to like something Lenin or Stalin had said about you give me like just one generation, and like fill the minds of that generation with ideals, and like you can change the world. And I look at like our generation, and it's somewhat unique because there's a schism that's in there where you have a lot of people that like have like sort of like, as you like said, like the term itself is cringeworthy, but woke up to like sort of what they thought was going on is a lie, no matter what that lie is. And then they start realizing that there's actually, in order for that lie to work, there's all these other lies that are...
It's a house of cards. Once you pull one thing, the others start falling down.
Yeah, precisely. So political theater is no different. So I can, with people that find themselves, I guess, leaning more center right, like nowadays, I can find a better discussion, because a lot of folks that are on the left, they think anything that is right of center is just evil.
Yeah, that's a big argument. You see in a lot of discourse of like people discussing, like even people on the right are more willing to talk about different ideas than people on the left.
Yeah,
and even if you don't agree with them, they'll still talk to you about them, and they won't think less of you. But like a person who's rabidly left leaning, if you say just as an argument, I don't like abortion, you're an evil human being who hates women and wants to do all this other nasty, heinous shit. And it's just like, I have my own reasons. It doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I've said before on this show, like my whole stance with like the abortion argument is that like I don't like abortion. I think it's gross. I also don't think it's the government's fucking business. Like,
yeah, it's not. It should be. I think abortion is murder. Since we're going to just lay it out there like that, I think abortion is murder. You're killing a child. This will be a person. If you had sex with a consenting adult and you got pregnant, like that's going to be a child. That's not going to turn into a starfish or a dog or a horse. It's going to be a child. Now, if you want to make the decision that I'm not in a position in my life where I can care for a person like I should, and it's probably best in the long run that I abort this child, then that's a decision you need to make with you and your doctor.
Yeah.
But if you ask me what I think abortion is abhorrent.
Yeah, you're aborting a pregnancy.
You're aborting a human life. Like, it's a person.
Yeah. It's,
but I'm also developing a opinion that I'm against the death penalty. Doesn't do anything. So at least I am cogent. I have a straight line of thought with that. That's usually the kind of argument. Well, if you're against abortion, why for the death penalty? It's like, well, I mean, you could argue those are two different things, but
yeah,
a life is a life.
Yeah. Life is a life. I think that there needs to be. You have to have some line drawn somewhere, right? Otherwise, you have what was his name, Ralph Northam in Virginia, where they offer post birth abortions.
Hillary Clinton. People want to act like, well, I don't understand how Hillary lost on the fucking debate stage. She made an argument for like third term abortion, like on a debate stage, on the national stage. Yeah, you could abort your baby in 3 months. It's like, and like it's somebody who's
third trimester.
Third trimester.
Yeah.
What did I say? Third stage.
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9-month-old, 8-month-old child. And she's like just going out there on Trump like, I'm going to dish this, I'm going to win. It's like that doesn't go with like literally 95% of America. They don't like, people understand the medical reasons for that.
Yeah.
And might not like it, but when you
there's a difference between a medical emergency, which you have to make an exception for something, and then you start to normalize it. It's like, they're harvesting body parts is what they're doing. Like, there's a market for that. So you can take like an aborted fetus or a post-birth aborted fetus, Ralph, fucking monster, and then like they're not just throwing that shit in the trash can. You know what I mean? Like there's a market that's used for that, and people are seemingly like well, I mean, there might be, but it's like, no, dude, just like go on Google, go on DuckDuckGo, go on something and like look into it. There's a legit market for.
But wasn't it O'Keefe who did the whole undercover sting for the
Project Veritas?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He did a thing that like busted like somebody trying to sell abortion stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Like this like this isn't fiction. It's not fictitious. Like this stuff is like really going on. And again, like I'm pro-choice when it comes to legislation. I do think it's killing another human being, but again, I think there's some circumstances where it's like, yo, if a woman's brutalized and she ends up getting pregnant from it, like, it's not the government's business nor the church's business to come in and say you can't do this with your body. You have to raise this child to term.
I have a
but that's not the norm either. No. You know what I mean?
Using the what's the fucking word, like the
anomaly?
The anomaly to justify the norm.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the fact that, like, say, if you just have a one-night stand with a chick, she gets pregnant, do you think men should have a say-so whether a child's born or not? Because it's really that's
a touchy one,
right? That gets off in the fucking weeds deep.
Well,
because at the end of the day, it's her body. Like, you know, she has to carry that thing for 9 months. If she don't want to, like, I don't think you can compel somebody to do. You know what I mean?
My argument would be coming from me at 36 years old, and not me with a hard and hungry dick as I had like in my early 20s. You know, I don't have sex with people unless I'm willing to accept the potential that like she may be carrying my seed, my DNA. Now that
little Colter.
Eventually, but I think a man has a right to know for sure.
Yeah.
Because if she were going to keep it and want child support, the argument would be that, well, he has to pay for it.
Yeah, that was like Dave Chappelle's argument in his special. Was like, you know,
yeah, if you can abort it, then he can abandon it.
Yeah.
Which I
think it's really shitty, but like,
yeah, but I mean, he was adding levity to it, but at the same time, like, that's some real shit, though. Yeah. Like if you're gonna start making those arguments and paint yourself into a corner, logistically speaking, with it, I don't think it's the right way to go. You know what I mean? So I think I don't know how you would enforce it, but in a perfect world, you know what I mean, people would know and have a conversation and be like, hey, I'm pregnant. Oh, shit.
What are we going to do about it?
Yeah. But that doesn't happen always, you know. So,
but then it comes back, like, you know, if she's pregnant, it's her body. Should she have to be compelled to enforce somebody she doesn't know that she got pregnant? Because that person will never fucking know if it's a one-night stand. Which, again, that one usually an anomaly to justify the norm, but like...
Yeah. I think that's a more like problem with having normalization of anomalous circumstances, right? I think that is where you start running the problem. That's where you also start having more laws added on, because then it's like, well, we didn't have a law for this. It's like, all right, Gerald wants a law for this. Let's write it in there. Can we vote again?
Well, no, Gerald, I need fucking Andy needs his pet project funded in New Orleans or some shit.
Hey, if we're talking about Andy's pet project, I've got a pet project going on in Kentucky that could really use some of those funds. Ties in directly with Andy's. Well, let's rewrite this. All right, gang. So we're still taking a vacation in the latter half of August?
Yeah, how about that shit? Like, there's a pandemic. We're still under a pandemic, don't get me wrong, but like, people are, you know, about to be evicted from the home because they haven't been able to fucking work because the government says we need to shut down.
Yeah.
Let's go on vacation the rest of August.
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what a shit show. When President Trump has to call you out for that shit, that's a fucking problem. Like, as much shit as, like, Orange Man bad people talk on the president, whenever he's the one that is coming out in this press conference and saying, I'm tired of waiting for this, and they're taking what? They're taking a vacation? Like, at the end of August, we have all this going on, and now they're about to take a vacation.
This comes back to the earlier part of the conversation. Like, there's no, the There's always the saying that Obama presided over the end of the Democratic Party. That's been said 100 times. Because you look like in the Republican Party, they've had these kind of new rising stars pop up. Like who's the senator out of
Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw.
There's Tom Cotton. There's a bunch of other. There's new bloods coming up, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got people on who in the left are they going to bring up there that like people in middle America are going to vote for? That's why they're bringing up fucking Joe Biden and the Clintons and the Obamas. Like they have their new blood are radical leftists.
Yeah,
and they know that doesn't sell.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're using established people in order to win votes. That's how they got the Bernie Sanders supporters. Was because he endorsed Joe Biden. I was like, Joe Biden's not going to do anything, man. He's alive. I think that it's more suitable that they have an AI Biden or some clone of Joe Biden.
It's like, how does he, like, if this was any other, if it was, obviously it was a Republican, if this was any other Democratic guy running, and he said half the shit he said in the last 6 months.
Bro, he made comments about black people being so homogenous, they have no, without notable exception, as he said, no intellectual diversity. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what a racist ass thing to say. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody bats an eye to it.
Because everybody knows, and this is the new thing that's coming on like social media. They're not voting for Biden. They're voting for the administration, who he's going to put in place to run the country.
Yeah, the same people that stole the election from Bernie that they even admit to. Yeah. That now the trust is going to go to them. I think a lot of times, a lot of folks are just thinking about Roe v. Wade, and like that turns their political spectrum. Yeah. However, I think with seeing like Gorsuch and how he's been ruling,
there are people who vote on for single issues, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like.
That to me is just I don't know, and I guess maybe it's because I nerd out about some of the I guess more multifaceted stuff with politics.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put all my eggs into one basket. I want to look at what's the greater good long term.
But for Biden, I think all the smart money now is on Susan Rice being his VP, which makes sense. She has experience on the world stage. She's a statesman or woman, if you want to be correct on your gender language. You're voting for the vice president because even Biden has said himself, which is another thing that like the news media glossed over. He said, "I won't be president for long." It's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
You're wanting to run for president, but telling me you won't be president for long. So what that tells me is like either what will happen. This is my conspiracy theory. I think it will happen. Let's say Biden wins, which it's highly likely he will. Still.
Yeah.
If they sweep the House and the Senate, like people are saying they will cram so much shit in 2 years, and then when the midterms roll back around again, if they lose the House and the Senate, or it goes back to like a neutral on footing how it is now, he'll resign for health reasons, and Susan Rice will assume the role of president.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they lose her.
Tough it out for 2 years. I think also that they now have the both sides can play this card, the ability to keep the lockdown going, right? Mm-hmm. Because they can then say like, well, it's come back, it's 2021 now, and COVID-19 has come back again.
Which you probably will. And they're gonna do like another like shutdown. And they're gonna keep doing this until most people feel safe. And the problem is that I think so many of us we're invested in fear porn. Yeah. That we've disillusioned ourselves thinking that we're safe to begin with, and like we're not safe to begin with. I think that's like one of the largest problems with how the people view how the pandemic has been handled is because we're soft as a nation. We just are. Like people clutching this person. Oh my God! I can't believe the federal, state, local government allowed this. They didn't do anything. It's like, no, you've lived under a facade of safety for your whole entire life, and this is the only thing that's pierced the veil lately. And if you look at it statistically speaking, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay away from mom and dad, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And
if you feel sick, go to a doctor.
Yeah. If you feel sick, go get your test, go home, wait it out.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. And it's like they're trying to say, you know, now all the people on the Democrat side are like, no, well, we need to go back to school now. And I don't know what that means. They were so against for so long now, like they're saying, we got to go back to school now.
I think they want more cases to spike up,
Or
so then they can say that, like, look how terrible this is. They allowed children to go back to school. It's weird because it's bringing up states' rights again, and like you have some folks that are, they're almost encouraging like federal government to like step in. And it's like, yo, we don't want that. You saw like just what DHS was doing with folks around a federal courthouse in Portland.
I so wanted them to pour out of that courthouse and just start just cracking heads so bad. I don't know what that says about me as a person.
Well, I mean, the protests didn't start around the federal courthouse. Like that's not where like it originated from. Like in the streets.
Yeah.
It just ended up like being at the federal courthouse. But then the mayor of Portland joined in the protest
and then got assaulted.
Yeah, because they found out the mayor was in their protest. Like that's your city. You let your city turn into that. I don't get it. People want to blame shit like that on like fucking Washington D.C. It's like, yo, man, whoever's running that city, that's your first line of defense, and they told police officers to stand down, and now they're joining in the riots and saying that there needs to be change. They're empowered to change this. They're essentially handing their city over to do what I view as the will of the Democrat elite establishment in order to do whatever they want to do with the money and the management, you know. And
I personally think I'm going to say this the right way. I feel that the protests that started in May and June started organically, and like always, people took advantage of it.
Yeah.
And then it was elevated by media and celebrities and stuff like that to be what it was. All those Black Lives Matters funds probably did not go to those type of causes. They all got funneled through Act Blue, and somehow in those same 2 months, Biden broke records raising money.
yeah.
So I think what ended up happening was that it was a laundering organization for the Biden government. I think that might not have been planned out that way, but that's the way it shook out.
Yeah. A lot of those funds that ran through there, they didn't go back to help Black Americans.
No.
Like they went for political reasons. But people don't want to. They want to acknowledge something like that. And I understand because they're tough conversations to have. But I don't think anything that Biden nor his cronies or team or handlers have is going to be beneficial to America. I don't know if Trump is going to be beneficial to America. That's the shitstorm we're in now, is we've got a dumpster fire and a dumpster fire, and Jo Jorgensen, who I'm sure is another dumpster fire.
She got bit by a rabid bat, by the way.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. She has to go for rabies treatments now.
So they'll kill her is essentially what will happen.
She's rabid, put her down.
Oh my Lord, dude. I mean, it's...
Imagine that the shape we're in, all we have is a painted man fucking game show host, and then a fucking shambling corpse from fucking Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's literally just a puppet.
And that's what aggravates me about the Democrats. Like, you had literally anybody you could have fucking picked that was running that would probably have won. I don't like Kamala Harris. She probably would have fucking won. Black woman president. People, that people go crazy over that shit. Yeah. People like making history, feel like they made a difference.
Bernie Sanders could have won.
But Bernie Sanders could have won. Fucking Tulsi Gabbard could have fucking won. Yeah. Andrew Yang, they had a very diverse field, and then you have people on fucking CNN saying there's not enough diversity. When you have three women of color, an Asian man, an aging socialist, fucking corporate Democrat.
Yeah, and then they trimmed it down to all white people.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth Warren,
She's Native American, that's right.
Yeah. I forgot about her indigenous bloodline. But, no, it's... like, I have to laugh because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like at the same time, like, our country is never going to be the same, like, going forward. I think we just grazed on it earlier, but with them redrawing states' lines and whatnot, I think we're going to start seeing more of that. Where
the gerrymandering?
Yeah, but I think they're going to start doing it to where, like with Oklahoma, it's not, like this area is no longer under your state's jurisdiction.
Well, the thing about Oklahoma, if it fell under the reservation's jurisdiction, then they don't have, federal law has no standing there.
The state law would have no standing there. They said the federal law would still do it until something was set up.
The reservations are independent nations within our nation. The federal law has absolutely no bearing there, from what I understand.
I think that's different. I know that, but
it's different. But it's not like.
It's not. Well, there's no state law. That's what I'm saying. It's within the United States borders, though. So there's still certain things that an autonomous reservation area still has to answer to.
Why do you hate Indians, Cole?
I don't know. My God. But one angle that I saw was that taxes are much different on reservation land than they are on state land.
I don't think they pay federal taxes, do they?
Well, it's all about representation. So it's kind of like with Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico doesn't pay a federal tax, but they have no representation at a federal level. So
it's like super cheap to live down there too, apparently.
Some areas have really gone under. A buddy of mine I work with is from Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
and he talks about just how the mismanagement of like the mayor of San Juan, and I guess they have a governor, their governor as well. And whenever those the crises happen with hurricanes and whatnot, the whole
just went to shit.
Yeah. But what mattered was that Trump tossed a paper towel roll.
I forgot about that. Swish.
Yeah. Well, what's fucked up about that, man? Like, this is how like fucking disgusting like some of these political chess moves are. Is like there was a warehouse that was full of like water and supplies.
Yep.
That they kept hidden from everybody because it would make Trump look bad. It's like, good God, dude! Like,
well, think about the depths that fucking De Blasio and Cuomo went through to make Trump look bad, and then they end up having the literal worst case scenario happen in their state. Like,
it wasn't De Blasio. He moved COVID patients into nursing homes.
They all did, yeah.
Like, are you?
It was a Cuomo directive that you move COVID positive patients back to the nursing homes. Which if they came and said, listen, we were in a wartime scenario, I had to make a hard decision to save younger lives, I'll give you more credit than him acting like he's taking a fucking victory lap.
But they had makeshift hospitals. Like, they even had a warship.
They had warship. They had makeshift hospitals in Central Park that never got used. So, but then people say, well, that's because people were just dying in their homes and not going to the hospital. Maybe, but
doubtful. Like,
I always have the argument, and also with one of our friends who's vehemently anti-Trump, is like, what else was he supposed to do? Like, no one who had been in power, Hillary or anybody, we still have the same. It'd be the exact same.
Yeah.
The exact same. What are you supposed to do? He closed the border to China in January. Got destroyed for it. The same time he's closing the access, the border to China, the mayor and city council and governor of New York is like, go to Chinese New Year, have fun, and lo and behold, 2 weeks later they're in like meltdown mode.
Yeah.
Having to call in trucks to store bodies and shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think the whole thing from the right wing is like Trump derangement syndrome. Like, that's a real fucking thing.
It is a real thing.
I'm against whatever you are because Trump is for. That's really dangerous. And I would say that's probably what's caused a lot of people to die in this outbreak.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you've got doctors talking about hydroxychloroquine being beneficial early on,
Yeah.
like to treat the virus, and it just got squashed because Orange Man bad.
There's a certain doctor here that if you are his, you pause it.
Oh no.
What do you keep pushing that for?
Save.
There's a certain doctor here that he still prescribes that. Well, and here's the other thing about the remdesivir, like it's given later on in the sickness. So like you can be in the hospital 4 or 5 days. You have to develop the certain type of symptoms and be a certain degree of sick to administer the remdesivir. There's a protocol for it.
Right. They talk about using it on a prophylactic level, I guess.
The remdesivir?
No, hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. Also, you also have the demon semen doctor. Like I don't.
True, but what they attacked were a bunch of straw man arguments she made, her wacky opinions. They didn't talk about like her actual argument, which that was my whole point. Was like, hey, ignore all that shit. What about this? Like what they're talking about?
They had
is this
a Yale epidemiologist guy come out and say, "Hey, listen, it works early on." It's a fucking Newsweek.
Yeah.
Like CNN has printed stuff in the last 3 weeks about like, hey, Plaquenil is the fucking name of it. It works. Like it works early on.
Yeah.
And you see some anecdotal, I can't even say that word. Anecdotal evidence. Of
anecdotal.
Anecdotal. There we go. Got it. Did it. Anecdotal evidence of like, there's this graph. It shows countries who didn't use it sparingly, exclusively use it. The countries that are using it, lowest death rates.
Yeah.
The countries use it kind of like, a little bit. America, medium. The other ones are like, that blew it up, like Italy and all that type of shit, have the highest death rates.
Yeah.
But then you also have to understand that remdesivir is like $3,000 to $5,000 a dose. And it was readily available and developed for Ebola, so that company's got to recoup that money some damn how.
Well, it kind of goes with one of these proposed executive orders that Trump talked about. You might not see me for a while. Was that these drug companies, like they can't do that anymore because their foreign markets won't allow those prices, and
we're the only country that allows advertisement of medicine.
Yeah, but only certain medicines. Like you have to play ball. So like even in psychiatric care, like psychedelics or even whatever Molly, MDMA would fall under.
Yeah.
Like I've taken MDMA a healthy amount of times in my earlier years. It is extremely beneficial for dealing with like trauma and like PTSD and to be able to talk with people.
The CIA, Army, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the armed services, they've been doing testing on MDMA for PTSD.
Yeah, it's incredibly beneficial.
Positive results. Like it's because about good ideas and bad ideas. If it's a good idea, regardless if it's against the law or whatever, and it works, do it because it's going to benefit people.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the current thing about politics. Well, the Democrats didn't want to fucking vote on the bill for the next relief package because they didn't get, they're not going to be able to be the ones that do it. They want to be the ones that are the gatekeepers and say, because they go back and say, we've done X, Y, and Z. And like that's why they're supposed to sue Trump over these executive orders.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get to do it. Like,
yeah. It's disgusting. I don't give a shit what party got it done, Like you want to see what results happen. Unfortunately, though, from what I see, is a lot of showboating happened with the Democrats, where exactly what you said, it has to be their idea. Mm-hmm. It has to be they were the champions. Because if not, they spent all this time screaming Orange Man bad. That if Orange Man do something good, then there has to be some sort of catch. It has to be bad in some way.
The Democrat Party is like they're who are their leaders? You have fucking Chuck Schumer, who's 100 years old, Nancy Pelosi, who's 100 years old.
Probably an alcoholic.
Definitely an alcoholic. Ralph Nader, who looks like that is the most oddest shaped human being I've ever seen in my fucking life. He's as tall as that fucking doorknob, and walks around like a square.
Yeah. On the right, you have the two I think of are Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, people that need to get out of there.
Yeah, agreed. And they're going to. I think Lindsey Graham had some scandal about gentleman callers or something like that come up recently.
That's been the allegation that he's a closeted gay man. Which, whatever, who gives a shit?
Well, a closeted man is a man that has a secret or something shameful, right? So aside from even him being a closeted homosexual, just the fact that you're a closeted man, you don't want a closeted man of any kind in government. What was his name? Dennis Hastert was a closet pedophile and was Speaker of the fucking House. Like, are you kidding me?
That's
like,
it's a bit much.
No, well, I'm saying though, like one of the pros to social media and privacy becoming a luxury, a willful luxury, if you will, but still a luxury nonetheless.
I think in probably another 15, 20 years, they won't. Our notions of privacy won't be anymore.
No, it'll be gone.
I mean, you're recording this conversation. This phone is hearing everything we're doing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, our military friend, whenever he FaceTime me, he's like, "Oh, you know those rumors about the NSA and CIA, spying on you."
I wish he was. When he gets back, I want to ask him about the Beirut thing.
There's a litany of things I want to talk to him about.
I just want to get him out like in the river, phones away, put away. Tell us what you know.
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, that's true. So you best believe they're listening now while you and I are having this conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, you got it.
Yes, sir.
Shit, man, we got about like 3.5 hours on this motherfucker.
That's a Joe Rogan-esque podcast.
Yeah, man, dude, thank you so much for doing that.
Nah, fuck you.
Never
again. This has fucking been awful. My ass hurts in this hard ass chair. I have to piss.
It's good stuff. What do you think? What do you think's gonna happen with the 2020 election?
Fuck, I don't know. I mean, shit. It all depends on what COVID does. I mean, mail-in voting's not a fucking option. Anybody who thinks you can do that, and people who are like pushed up like religion,
doesn't know. Seems like a step backwards to me. It was already in Paterson, New Jersey. There was something, I guess within like the past month. It was recent. 20% of the votes cast they can't verify.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it creates this thing to where you're not gonna know who the president is on election night. You're not gonna know anymore. You have to wait.
We can go
find out.
We can go to the polls if they're recommending we wear a mask, sanitize our hands, and we can go about our daily life doing them things and be fine. Then we can go to a fucking voting booth and vote.
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything. Now, if you want to fundamentally change how we vote, you can't do it in September, October, November, 3 months.
No. There's something that would be fraudulent taking place. That's
fucking course.
Like with, I have no doubt about that at all. You would have to set something different for the next election cycle in order to do it way in advance. Like
you're talking something you get to set up over the course of like 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. Like easily. But I think something they could do now is just make Election Day a national holiday. Yeah. Nobody works.
And you know what happened? The same amount of people would still fucking vote. That's what would fucking happen.
Yeah.
People would, I'm not going to vote. I'm stay and play fucking Red Dead. I'm not, fuck that. I mean, some people are just content with having other people make choices for them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Let's see what happens, though.
I think it's going to be a fucking shit show. I saw my cousin the other night, the girl one, randomly at fucking Piggy of all places. And there, but I said, regardless of who wins, it's all going to go to fucking shit.
Yeah.
Because one side's going to be pissed off, think they're robbed. So it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, one side is going to claim victory, and another side is going to claim cheat.
Yep.
So
that's going to be the end result.
Yeah.
Well, get your guns, people.
Yeah.
Just
absolutely. Kidding. I'm not. Fucking keep your family safe.
Yeah.
Later, y'all.